Hello, and this is Spotlight, recorded here live on Grapple Patreon. I'm Benno.
And I'm Gareth.
And we are here, Gareth, for our WWE WrestlePalooza review. Going to run down the 5 matches. I'm very excited to talk about it. Obviously, Stephanie McMahon's been inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, and there's Raw tonight as well, mate. So glad to have you. Oh, sorry, reading tomorrow's notes there.
It's tomorrow night.
Are you all right with that, mate? Can we cover it? We'll be all right. It'll only take us 10 minutes. We'll be in and out if we do WrestlePalooza.
10 minutes, 2 words. It's shite, probably.
What was there was an ESPN article, wasn't there, that went up today? I don't know if you saw it. It called it like a C-grade show. Ricochet was picking on it. I did in the newsletter. Yeah, C. The ESPN website gave it. Nothing happened and was saved by the women's match. Other than that, a pretty lackluster show, according to ESPN, the people who've paid all this. I don't know. The editor or the writer or whoever it is writes that on the ESPN website. It's not the same person who's obviously giving WWE millions and millions of dollars, but somebody's approved that somewhere. Someone's gone, you know what, that's all right. You're allowed to have that opinion. You love to see it.
I tell you what, I bet it's a fucking A show next time from the fingertips of the same writer. No matter what happens, he'll be getting a fucking slap and getting told if he knows what's good for him and he wants to still earn money, or he or she, I should say. He'll be getting.
He'll be sent an assignment to Saudi Arabia sometime soon, maybe. Who knows? I didn't say that, honest. Have you honestly seen any of it? Have you seen, like, the one thing I was hoping you might have seen today is The Undertaker doing stand-up comedy, walking around like a drunk uncle at a party, getting Stephanie McMahon into the Hall of Fame. Obviously, not Triple H's idea, nothing to do with them. Gigantic surprise to the entire family. Honestly, Mark Calloway will do anything for money in 2025, and this was just more evidence of I can't wait to rip into that with Matty tomorrow, which I will be doing.
Oh, like, you see, like, that's news to me. You know what I'm like, fucking social media blackout. Well, you know, away from social media at the best of times, but total blackout when it comes to pay-per-views that I'm trying to catch up on, and also just trying to avoid consensus opinion and things like that as well. That might be out there. So yeah, that's totally passed me by. But the one thing that I did see from the show was those great strikes from AJ Lee. Somebody put that clip into our group chat, didn't they?
I haven't seen that match yet. I've only seen the segment, but I haven't seen that yet. It doesn't look great.
Rugged Ron would be proud.
Matty says it's good other than that, but I don't know. It was very Simpsons windmill. I saw somebody gift that.
Of course, Matty says it's good.
That's true, actually. Yeah. It's funny, like, would you have it? Because that was the conversation today. Is Stephanie McMahon as a Hall of Famer? You know, can we all name 5 Stephanie McMahon matches? Actually, I feel like I might be able to name Stephanie McMahon matches quicker than I can name, like, my top 5 AJ Lee matches. Or even Gail Kim was getting grief today. She's been kicking off about death matches on Twitter, and people going after her reputation over the years as well. Quick 3-1 out of those 3 women. I don't know if Stephanie might be somewhere in the middle there in fairness.
Yeah, I mean, like, surely she's not going in for the work. Surely that's
the memorable angles, like that time Triple H married her in Vegas against the will. No, maybe. I don't know. Stuff with the dad. Oh, there'll be thank you Vince chance. You can pretty much guarantee that.
That time she took a pedigree on the table, you know.
Yeah, there was that. The match with the dad. Yeah, you can throw that in there. The stuff with Trish, you know.
Where to, Stephanie? That's an all-time. That's a Hall of Fame angle.
That is an all-timer. I will often say that to Steph when I'm in a cab with her. I'm sure Matty does it to his Steph.
I hope you do.
So, the line that stood the test of time, you know. She got that memorable moment, you know. That's all it's about. It's about moments. There weren't any at the pay-per-view at the weekend, but, you know, as a company, that's what they do. They give you moments.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I didn't watch it.
Well, I'll tell you who did. Oh, Matthew. I know, obviously, as we've been trialing putting the little videos up on the YouTube. I did promise him I'd give it a good old plug. Me and Matty both did quick preview videos, both for WrestlePalooza. That was Matty. For AEW All Out, that was me. About 15-20 minute videos, and we've both done reaction videos for All Out, and obviously WrestlePalooza on Matty's end as well. You know, just nice little 10-minute bite-sized stuff. Obviously, I'm going to go over, you know, in much more detail the stuff today on the show, and we'll have a big whole conversation about it as well. But going to try and get into the habit of doing it, where get a little quick reaction to it and get our takes in it in distilled form. Like I say, spoiler yet, Matty enjoyed the show, although he was quite critical. I even, to be honest, I framed the clickbait around the one criticism, which was about Brock Lesnar, because I just thought more people would click then. I found that out about Cope. Can't wait to go into that today. If you thought I was bad on my 10-minute video, wait until we talk the Cope match in a few minutes. But that's what you got to do. You got to get those. What are they called now? There's likes. There's comments. What's the other thing people are doing? It's like the supercharged thing people are doing with it, firing points at us or something like that. Let me know in the chat. It doesn't come up on my version of YouTube, so I don't know how to do it. But if there's a button there, hit it. Everything's helpful, genuinely, at this point in the algorithm. Any interaction is good interaction. Even if you want to call me a cunt for the things I said about Coke, I'll take them. And if you want to call Matty a cunt as well, and not just me, I'm a burner, that's helpful too. But yeah, it's like bite-sized versions of Grapple Gareth, worth having out there. Hype, that's it. Hype button. Hit the hype button.
Yeah, it's good. I was despite having zero intention to watch it, I did watch the Matty's WrestlePalooza preview, and I thought
he did a great job. He really did.
Good stuff. Like, he was a bit self-critical of himself, but I was like, nah, it was it was spot on. It was good the way he was giving you a bit of background to his thoughts, a bit of background going into the angles and stuff, and it nearly convinced me that I might actually watch it for half a second. Nah, it's really well, good to see his views anyway, kind of building into that. But it's a good, I like it as just them little bite-sized things. I think there's a lot of time for this, and not everything needs to be 3-hour podcasts, does it? So I think if you can get your opinions across quick in your immediate reactions, like you've done for this show that we're going to talk about today, that I'll admit I haven't watched yet, Benno, because again I want fresh takes from you while I'm sitting here talking to you today. I don't know what you think.
I thought you were going to pick me apart for some of my takes on that one, but okay, you'll do it anyway. We'll just do it live.
I was going to say I'll do it live when you give those opinions. But yeah, it's gotta try and get them YouTube hypes, haven't you?
Definitely. We're doing. So yeah, they're out there if anybody wants to. I've been linking to them on the Patreon, but obviously I'm hoping they hit the worldwide audience that is out there as well. So yeah, please do hit the hype button, hit the like button, comment on them, even subscribe if you don't already to our YouTube, and you can watch video versions of Spotlight like this show right here if you subscribe to us over there. So please do. Platt says Matthew's review shorter than a WWE ad break. Yep, that's pretty much the case. Like I say, I'm only halfway through that show, which I'll be getting ready to review in full tomorrow with Matty. We will have a more long-form review of that, as well as Matty's reaction. Mainly, again, for me to take apart some of the things that Matty said in those 10 minutes that he put on YouTube. But yeah, a big part of my conversation is going to be a lot of that, and I've been hitting fast forward a lot while trying to catch up with that show. But no, thank you to everyone for the nice comments on that. Even Simon, do appreciate it. But we are here, like I say, to do the full old review of AEW All Out. Don't need to ask Gareth if you've managed to fit this in. I know you did, because you were literally working away on this yesterday on your wedding anniversary. Apologies to Grapple Sarah. We've between Matty taking you on a night out on Friday, us doing the wrestler on Saturday afternoon. Check that out on the Patreon for dealer's choice. And getting this home workout on Sunday, mate. You've done the Lord's work this weekend. Sarah even posted some wedding photos of you, didn't she, on your anniversary? And you were saying you were looking better back then before wrestling podcast, before the road owned you, mate. You were looking very sharp. Still look sharp today. I think you don't look cracking even so, mate. But it was notable, mate. Maybe it's our fault that's put those miles on.
God, podcaster's belly these days, mate.
Tell me about it. Thai food doesn't help.
Yeah, no, it was that's
Did you not watch any of it live?
All Out. I watched up until the end of the Mercedes Moné match, and then I was absolutely I was feeling knackered, and then it was like the graphic came up for next match was the 3-way with Okada and Takeshita and Dorada, and I thought, I need to concentrate properly when I'm watching this one. I can't just be like watching this sort of half falling asleep. So having about an hour earlier been sat there feeling like, hey, this is great. I'm watching a pay-per-view at 8 or something. The old dad tiredness from a night out the night before slipped in, and by 10 I was like, yeah, ready for that pillow. There's no way I was fucking making like 2 a.m. or something like that if it had tried to sit through and do to the end. But yeah, a lot of lot of wrestling podcasts this weekend, a lot of wrestling consumed as well. And yeah, God, she's
Thanks, Sarah.
patience of a saint, sneaking bits in on the wedding anniversary. There was a definite eye roll today when it was like, oh yeah, I'm podcasting with Benno at 6:30 tonight. I haven't mentioned Bretto on Wednesday yet. You know?
Shit.
So we'll see how we get
and
on.
then Punk next Wednesday, which I didn't mention, but doing a dealer's choice, CM Punk and AEW. Just got to get the homework in, mate, before Monday as well. I see no problem with it. I apologise. We're taking a breather after dealer's choice, but it's going to be a much more laid back October coming up. But I was going to say, even I struggled, to be honest, and I know I'm 6 hours ahead, but you know, I live 6 hours ahead. You know, I wake up, I look at my phone, it's like midday Thai time, and I can see you're already awake on WhatsApp, and I'm already getting messages in our group chat before I've even opened my eyes. So I'm just basically living on British time these days, and obviously the pre-show starts at 1 a.m. on Saturday night Thai time. Again, felt nostalgic for it. I was like, oh, isn't that cool? It's going to be like the pay-per-views of old. And I put on the disco for the second pay-per-view in a row, but now that I think about it, for the third pay-per-view in a row, I don't know what's happened to me. I think that the road is owning me. I got halfway through the show. I think maybe I got to the last 3 matches or so. I'd gone out. I'd gone to, obviously, my favourite 7-Eleven, stocked up on all kinds of snacks. I had beers in the fridge. They were Chang, but, you know, I had beers in the fridge. I'm a big fan of Chang, to be fair, already. I had half of my snacks. I had one Chang, and then I fell asleep. And that is literally, like I say, the third pay-per-view in a row now, actually, now that I think about it. That's happened with. So I don't know if it's Thailand. I don't know if these long shows, or I don't know if it's just me getting older, mate. But I was literally catching up yesterday. Again, another reason why we didn't manage to squeeze this podcast in yesterday too. But yeah, maybe I'll have to just be a grown up now. I might watch it the day after.
You've changed.
I know. I don't know what it is. Too many, not lack of vitamins. I don't know. Something going on with the sun out here.
No, I was hoping though for yesterday we just felt like a bit of an anomaly because I'd been out the night before and was feeling knackered, but I was just sitting there thinking, God, I hope this is a mega buy rate. And then they just go like, fucking hell, let's do our pay-per-views at this time all the time from now on, because
it is better. It was
class. Like, it was just class, just sitting down on a Saturday night, wasn't it? Just 8 o'clock, bang, there you go. It's like perfection. It's like living the dream. It's what the Americans are used to, and they're busy moaning about us like sitting up all night. It's just the norm for them, isn't it? So yeah, a bit of an early start. Why not? Although based on the crowd engagement, maybe you want your live crowd to have a few more beers in them maybe before the show starts. So maybe them early starts are a bit I don't know, counter positive as well.
I saw our friends are posting it on Poison Run. Obviously, they're a live event at All Out at Gabby's, where Davey works. Fantastic bar, great place, great lads. I don't think Way made it. Way was just like, it's already a fucking long day. I'm not coming, lads. But like I heard like Pollock talking about going there, and say he got there at like 11 in the morning, and the bar was already packed and full of people who were there for their event. Never mind the pay-per-view. But that's the only negative, isn't it? You've got to start early if you're going to do that and you're out there for it. Like in broad strokes, like a 3 again, it's like footy, innit? 3 o'clock start shouldn't hurt the atmosphere. 3 o'clock start should be great, shouldn't it? Imagine a 3 p.m. pay-per-view, never mind an 8 p.m. pay-per-view. That sounds even better, doesn't it? But I think it must have had some kind of effect on it. It must have had some kind of effect on the crowd there as well. So yeah, maybe it's just a Canadian thing though. If they can get past that for like the future North American pay-per-views, and if the number's good, as you said, let's hope this continues being a good thing, because it is. It's good for everybody.
You've been a pay-per-view in Canada though before, haven't you? Was the crowd good then?
You know what? They were WWE shows, and this felt like a WWE audience to me. Like I went to Money in the Bank, and the atmosphere was great. I went to NXT that weekend. It's called Heatwave or something like that. Can't believe I even remember that. That was the pay-per-view. Half as busy as here for this in the Scotiabank as well. Were half as busy as AEW was. Twice as loud. I was sat between loads of empty seats. Like I went to a SmackDown that weekend, and I think I've said before, like literally my ticket was a standing ticket at the back. That's how busy it was for SmackDown, and that was a great atmosphere. Even though nothing really happened on the SmackDown. I'm sure I'm going to colour you surprised there with that one, mate. But yeah, just I don't know. I maybe put it down to that. Like it did feel like when we get into the opener, like. There were moments this crowd will allow, because I think there's a lot of people wanting to blame the miking of the crowd, or I haven't really heard much from our Canadian friends on the reasons for like the crowd being quiet, but the odd Canadian I've seen online has said things like, it was loud in my section, but like you could tell watching it, like there were certain moments, the Coke moments we're going to get into, and other moments through the night where they were loud, so you could hear them when they were loud, and then when they weren't loud, it sounded like it did throughout the night. But yeah, I don't know. I said it on my reaction video. Like for me, maybe it's just it's an investment thing. Maybe it is just a lot, to kind of get into these matches. Like I kind of put it like it's Tony Khan's spreadsheet booking, isn't it? Like in his head, having 13 matches makes all the sense in the world, but then you try and cram them even across a long show like this. It's hard to make things stand out. It's hard to make things feel important. I did feel like some of the lesser matches on this show, they were asking a lot for you to be invested in. Some of the people who were very clearly losing on this pay-per-view, so maybe that's part of it as well. But yeah, like for Bizarro and for Toronto, you would definitely expect a bit more, and didn't really get it this night.
Yeah, and I think it's sad, isn't it? It's when you get into these markets where they're not seeing it as frequently, and you're getting that rare show, like say the London shows, the show in Scotland and things, coming obviously not massively like frequent into Toronto and things. I don't know, you just expect that those crowds are going to be electric, don't you? Because it's not something that they're getting all the time. So yeah, I think maybe expectations were up here as well, that the crowd was going to absolutely be on fire for this. So it was a bit that was a bit of a disappointment, really. I think along the way that there weren't, but yeah, who knows? Maybe it is a audio aspect or something like that. The way the crowd was mic'd, if you are getting people saying it was noisy in their section and things. I know actually from even been at the Wembley shows, I suppose, that when you've then watched some stuff back on screen, it's been a bit like, oh, actually that doesn't come across like it did in the building as well. So maybe there's a learning there.
Maybe. I mean, the other weird thing, if we get into getting into the show, like the tailgate they had before the show, I don't know if you've seen any of this. Like they had, it was a weird situation. There was the tailgate brawl, which was essentially Collision, is where the pre-show matches took place. But there was also your normal All Out 0 hour, just on YouTube and on Amazon and on other places people have bought the pay-per-view with no matches, just with Renee stood there in front of an empty arena. So that was another like weird quirk of this show. I'm sure they'll figure that out long term, and very clearly it was because Collision airs on TV, even if you call it a tailgate brawl, and there's all of those issues with TNT TBS to be able to sort that out. But that was weird as well, because like it was exciting on our Discord. There was a lot of people watching live, but like people kept coming into the room going, "What are you talking about? What do you mean, Daniel Garcia? I'm looking at Renee on her own. What's going on?" Like, and everyone had to kind of figure it out slowly. Like, oh right, I'm watching the wrong feed. Triller did have Collision / Tailgate on there as well, but a lot of people had to go through other means to get it, who actually shelled like you did for the pay-per-view. So not ideal, really, and a bit of a weird communication issue as well.
It was because people were.
Did you watch it? Did you watch the pre-show?
No, I was watching Renee in the middle of the ring on her own because like literally in our group chat, like I think Andy Ogden put a comment in about Daniel Garcia's shorts or something like that, and I was like, oh fuck, is the like the
he's looking ahead.
So like I put it on the on YouTube, and then I was like, oh, they must have just been doing a preview of like a match or something like that Garcia was on the VT for, and I just ended up watching that, and then it wasn't until they did the transition thing over that I realized, oh fuck, like what, like there was no match, like have I been watching the wrong feed altogether? So that had totally passed me by, that one. So yeah, that's one that I need to go and catch up on and see if there was anything of note happened on that show, completist and all that.
Good man. Oh, I love it. Yeah, Steph saying there she started on running, it was so bad, and she was mad when she realised she was watching the wrong thing. Obviously, Canadian tuxedo's not enough of a draw, unfortunately. And they're saying the watch wrestling stream was what you went for there. I mean, we don't have to spend too much time on it as far as like the tailgate brawl. Did anything stand out for you? I did 27 previews of this show last week, and by like the last one I did on True Heel Heat, like we spent about 10 minutes talking about like the women's multi-person match, and at the end of it I was just like, guys, like I think Tony Khan's putting this much thought into this match, like, and I don't think any of us are going to remember even what happened in it afterwards. And here I am 2 days later, and that's probably the truth outside of the dancing that took place at the end of it. But yeah, that was on the show. Hologram and Paragon got added to the show, which I don't think anybody needed. Also, something called the Frat House apparently was on this pre-show as well. Joe and Hobbs went over the Workhorsemen in short order. The Workhorsemen, good to see them on TV again. Didn't even get an entrance. Got like slammed right through. And I thought Garcia Shibata didn't really didn't hit the level I thought it might. And I think a lot of that was, as you mentioned there, Garcia's get up, which I think they need a hard reset on. I think I don't know what they're trying to do, whether he's trying to be mini Moxley from Japan, but it's not working. He'd have been better off in a Canadian tuxedo than his old gym. He looked like, we used to say about Wardlow going to the shop for a loaf of bread. He looked like, when you're just like, just got to nip out here and you put on like your gym shorts, your flip flops, and whatever you've got lying around the house. That's what he looks like at this point. I think we need to figure that out as well. But maybe you were a bigger fan of that match than me.
No, I mean I haven't caught up on any of that show. Like I say, I saw the obviously I was watching the wrong show. Watching the wrong show.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were 7 completed. You'd watched it.
No. I'll be coming back to that and watching it in the next week just to get up to speed. I think it was the Garcia Shibata match was the one that stands out. Obviously, as the one that you think, there might be something in there that there's.
He went over strong. The finish was good.
Interesting, but I think obviously the thoughts that I was putting across about Garcia last week on the live show me and you did, after doing that catch up about, it needs to grab it with both hands now at this time period. So I was intrigued just to see what this sort of first instance was. But yeah, when everyone's slating the look already and things like that, it doesn't feel like it's got off to the best start from that point of view.
It's like that.
Garcia. Give him a couple of months.
I always mention it, that kid on Mufti Day who turns up and they've forgotten that it's or dress down day, whatever you call it these days in school, and it's forgotten, and the teacher's like, you can wear your PE kit, it'll be fine. And he puts his PE kit and he's running around school all day in his tracky bottoms. Like, that's pretty much what Garcia looked like here, as Simon says there in the chat. Yeah, I think you'll get more out of the match than me. Garcia looks strong, but you're going to get what you get out of Shibata these days, and I was as surprised as anybody. This was apparently the third version of this match. But yeah, outside of that, it was very much a pre-show where, again, we're 6 years into AEW, and we still don't really know how to maximize minutes on a pre-show here that was appearing on like national TV, and we went off air with like the babyface team, Queen Aminata and Below Nightingale in the air, and the girls doing a little dance and a sing-song. Showing off signs that the fans have, and it was just like, if I was watching that, I'd just be thinking, you know what, you want to feel FOMO on a pre-show. You want to feel like, oh, you know what, there's going to be more of this greatness. I've got to get the pay-per-view. I think you get in those pre-shows going, I've seen enough wrestling for tonight, now I'm going to roll over and go to bed. That's pretty much how it felt at the end of it. So they didn't do the greatest job with the pre-show as normal, but yeah, we went into the main show, and obviously the first thing I'm guessing you would have saw then, Gareth, was obviously coming out for commentary duty. Our mate Brian Danielson coming out with the full entrance. It's good to see. I know it's a good way to rile the crowd up, and yeah, I don't know what have your thoughts have been on him so far in commentary in this role as the permanent third member of the booth.
It's just great. It's just great to see him, isn't it? So I think anytime he's on your telly, it's a good thing, and it's like a positive addition to the show. And I think I've just generally found that with the commentary, while you can see that there's still like, there's still elements where he's getting up to speed and things like that in certain areas. I think in the main, it just feels like a big positive to me. I think when there's matches on there, there is a bit more serious, and they are a bit more like things to get your teeth into. I think like he's applying logic to it, like he's applying sort of intelligence to it, and like wrestler thinking to it. He's bringing sort of like emotions and good reactions to stuff at certain times. Like he's really, putting over, certain things, really, really strong, and even an element of sort of like the character work that he's like bringing to the desk when he should be annoyed because something's happened in the previous sort of segment or in the previous match. He's trying to sell it in his facials and things like that at the desk or in his tone and stuff. So it's a surprise.
He's a jolt of energy, isn't he?
Yeah. Surprise. He's taking it seriously and trying to do the best possible job that he is. And at the end of the day, you listen to Brian Danielson talking about wrestling, and is what's not to like on that basis. And I think there's been some good interactions as well with sort of some of his co-commentators as well. Like on this show, I liked some of his stuff with Don Callis, like a bit later on. I liked some of the stuff with Taz and things. They're just like applying like different elements of like conflict there and a bit of back and forward. And even on that pre-show that we watched there, I thought he was really good on that. It was and sort of the interactions he was having with RJ City on there as well, building up a bit of something between them there as well. So yeah, what a obviously we've seen him with the behind the mic on things like talking smack and things all them years ago and stuff, and the brilliance that he brought to the table then with that as well, really. So yeah, the expectation is that the longer he's there, it's only just going to get better and better, isn't it, really? So again, just a big positive for me to have him out there.
A master of Blair in the kayfabe in the real life, and I feel like some of that happened with Taz, with Taz getting upset that people were chanting, "You're not ready" at Kyle Fletcher. I was like, Taz, have you not watched the telly, mate? That's the story they're telling. They're not just being knobheads. And you could tell he was just sat there a bit frustrated and annoyed that Brian had put him in his place. But the reverse as well, like say, there's going to be moments through the night we'll talk about where like Excalibur's not always good at selling big moments, is he? He's good at telling you what move was what and what is happening practically on screen. But Brian sold the emotion great through the night as well. So yeah, thought it was a good commentary team to have for the night, and obviously we had different variations of the booth through the night with Schiavone and Taz in there too. But yeah, from there we went to our opener match, mate, and like I say, I've been getting a couple of pelters on our YouTube reaction video. I'm not sure why, based on this opener match here with Christian Cage and Adam Copeland against FTR here with Stokely Hathaway in corner. And I'll give you the cliff notes, mate, of my starting point on this one. I wasn't even kicking off too hard about. In fact, I don't even think I mentioned Bubbles backstage here before we even got to the match and all of the other weird Canadian celebrity. I remember the other. That's not the real Bubbles. That's not the real celebrity Bubbles, like Michael Jackson's monkey. That was the real one. But Bubbles was there. Every time he turned the corner, there was another Canadian celebrity. I was saying I was half expecting Wei Ting and John Pollock to be around the corner. They're the only Canadian celebrities I recognise. But yeah, that all happened. We got the big, Metalingus entrance, and again, that was your first inkling actually that this crowd wasn't going to be up to much, because I felt like we were going to get, like, for as much as I hate it, the loudest one they had so far. Like, obviously, I think London shit on what Toronto did there as I sat cringing in my living room. But yeah, I've got a lot to say about the Cena stuff in here. I had a good old go at Cope in general, and what he brings to AEW, obviously as wife turning up here with Beth Phoenix too as well. And I didn't even get into the finish of this match, which I'm sure you're going to want to get into. But I don't know. Should we start from the top right there? Like, I just feel like this was like if you said before you didn't watch the WWE pay-per-view, I'm sure it felt like it when you watched the first half an hour of the show, because it put me in a bad mood to start this pay-per-view. And knowing you, mate, I feel like it probably had the same effect.
Yeah, it was like when I saw same reaction to you when I saw that it was the first match. I thought, smart move, bring him out, get the big pop for
Cope, if it wasn't going to go on last,
Christian off that crowd, like perfect placement, get them fired up, get them sort of like ready and into the show after that, the pre-show and things. And I was always, I've said this on the show previously. While, like, do I want to be watching like Edge and Christian in 2025 in AEW, like anywhere near the top of the card? Like, absolutely not. But like, is there a place for them in the mid card, lower down? Some names on the card, sell a few tickets, get a few eyes on the product, work a solid enough match and things like that people in the crowd can enjoy at a mid card level. Then yeah, fair enough kind of thing. There might be a place for them there, but I tell you what, after this one, I'm not so sure that's even a thing, because when you can't even get a pop in Toronto, like, so if you're a Cope, something's really bad. And Christian definitely got a bigger pop than him. Definitely got a bigger pop, like when he came out there, which I thought was quite telling. And I thought Christian was getting the better reactions throughout the match as well. So maybe it isn't just you, mate. Maybe the broader audience is growing a bit tired of old Cope there, because it just generally just felt like a bit flat throughout, throughout the match for me. And I was sort of left, while I was watching it, I was just feeling a bit like, and then the work did nothing to kind of feel like it was trying to sort of like elevate it. I put in our Discord that I felt like I was watching a WWE match, like you said it there, and it absolutely did. Like, it completely felt like this was just random 10-minute match on SmackDown or something like that, as opposed to something that, in theory, they've put a bit of weight behind it with the Christian turn, with what they've done with it. You can argue like negatives, but it's still them two coming back together. They're still in there with FTR, who've got a lot of cachet in AEW as well. You know, there's plenty of sort of like backstory there between them two as well. It felt like something that, like, all right, okay, the whole purpose of putting Edge and Christian back together is to have a match with FTR. Like that felt like something that they were there. And if this is the end result, then fuck me, what a waste of time that was.
And I didn't think FTR's work in the match was bad. I didn't think Christian's work in the match was bad. It was all cope. Like, you know what it is? I see him and I see red now. Like, I think that's what it is. And it's just like, and I understand, you know, for some people, you know, and that people made their points back in the comments on our YouTube. I will say, you know, as far as you know, it's only one match on the show, you know, so what's wrong with Cope bringing something different? But I just think what he brings is so 2010s WWE that I don't want it anywhere near AEW. Like, it's just, I guess, yeah, he's not in the main event, but he was, and it was the fucking worst point of the year when he was, but he's still a big part of the show, and it's still a big open to the show here, and it's just like, I said it, Gareth, like, for me, the biggest, like, the most offensive thing I found here, and what shows, like, I just think he's got bad instincts up and down, is when they were building some heat, and when it did feel like they were putting an okay match together in the first half. Of course he's got to send out shout-outs to his mate John Cena, and, like, again, would John Cena be this over and be getting cheered in AEW 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago? Like, those types of spots, I'm not the first to say it, used to get booed, like, now they get cheered. And I honestly think having stuff like this with Cope on the show is part of the reason why that is. And it makes AEW lose its identity. There's another whole pay-per-view you could have watched on Saturday night that'll give you this, and will give you a match that's littered with moments, because that's clearly what Cope brought to the table. It was moments. It was, I'll do a little Cena tribute that'll get there. We'll bring Beth out, even though she's not been part of this story, and we'll make her part of the story, down to, like, literally we'll stop the match for, like, what felt like 3 minutes, waiting for, like, a music to play so that a name could appear on screen. And again, it did get over in the building. That's not lost on me. I'm shocked it did, but it did. And, like, yeah, we'll go for those moment pops that are, you know, are so synonymous with WWE. And then we'll try and do, like, a heavy angle at the end of it as well, with FTR taking her out, as if we're supposed to care about that, as if she's a character that's actually been established in AEW. Just every part of it's just bad. That's the thing. It's bad idea laid on bad idea, and that's Cope. Even down to, not to jump ahead, because I'm sure you got more notes on the match, but like the finish. Like, I didn't even mention that. Like, what was going on in the finish? Like, FTR basically murdered Cope with, like, the finisher twice, and then he just gets up, spear, and wins. That's it. He didn't even sell the second one. He was just up. Shatter Machine meant nothing, and it was a spear and win. It was like, where have I seen that before? Oh yeah, every Roman Reigns WWE main event. What are we doing? Like, somebody needs to take him aside and go, like, if you're gonna be here and you're gonna be that guy who offers something different, you still need to, like, fit in with what this company's ethos is and how we structure these matches. FTR should be having a word going, that's not a good finish, bro. Like, what are we doing here? You're just making us look like fucking jumps. And I know, I guess they get their heat back at the end because we do the Beth angle. Again, very WWE, but somebody just has to have a word. And if FTR aren't gonna, I'm not sure who will. If Christian's not gonna, he's got better instincts than this cunt. Like, but no, we got what we got.
Yeah, and it's just also try hard with him, isn't it? With Edge, like everything.
You can see
like,
it, can't you? Can see his brain going. I feel like you can see it. Maybe it's because we both used to listen to that podcast and really liked it. I kind of got a feel for who he is as a person and quite liked him. But I can also picture him putting this stuff together backstage, you know, with the things he'd say on that podcast.
You know, though, what with that podcast, though, it was that I liked it. I liked them as people. I liked the chat and things like that. Like that you got in the stories. But one thing I'll always say about that podcast, you could tell Christian watched stuff. You could tell Christian watched New Japan, and you could tell Christian watched the Indies and stuff, and you could tell Edge didn't, because, like, Christian always had, like, proper, like, fleshed out opinions about people and things, and Edge just definitely did not, kind of thing. And that almost, like, has translated itself into their respective work, I think, that they've probably done since they've come to AEW, been in a different environment. Obviously, Christian had been in TNA in a totally different environment, so he'd experienced that. And it's almost like these worst WWE habits coming across, because you sort of, again, you talk about the fact, like, the John Cena tribute spot, but then that immediately been followed by, like, the stereo sharpshooters, and then FTI doing the whole don't tap, holding each other's arms, and you're like, come on, like I hate that spot at the best of times, kind of thing, but done in Toronto with the stereo sharpshooters, and it's almost like, right, I can try and use John Cena for a pop here, I can try and use Bret Hart for a pop here. You do that thing that you used to do on NXT, like show, tag shows where there when you're doing the stop the other one tapping point of view, and it's just like devoid of ideas. Never mind, then rolling Beth out with, again, as I said in the Discord, the older joke shop binoculars on there that's been dipped in the ink in the back. I reckon a bit of a prankster going on there. What the fuck was that look kind of thing either? Like going, just looks terrible. Just got to add something to try and make something look a bit different or cool, but it just looking extremely dated and just like not looking relevant at all. Like it just didn't work, and it did. I talk about like quitting on this pay-per-view live 4 matches in, to talk about setting me off on a bad start that just made me feel like, oh, like come on, kind of like that should have been passable. It should have been something where you turned around and you went like, oh yeah, it might not have been for me, but there was some big pops with the crowd and there was a couple of big things that worked and stuff, but it just really, I mean, try hard is the thing that just keeps coming back to me. It's just like any last gasp effort they can possibly do to try and make something work, and invariably just doesn't. Like, I don't like, where do you go from here? You've got to watch this again, haven't we? They're going to do it again.
Doing a series 100%, but that's the problem, is it, with a blissful lack of awareness about what about this doesn't work for an AEW audience, because he is just he's got Beth's WWE binoculars on, and that's all he's seen it through. He's seen it through those spectacles, and he probably thinks this is fine. And it got over, and the crowd reacted to the cheap pops of Cena and Beth and all of that. And what am I doing wrong, bro? Like the crowd reaction, that's fine. It's like, I think it's deeper than that. I think it goes to the ethos of what AEW should be versus what Cope sees his wrestling style as in 2025. But you're right, we'll be getting more of it. And I mean, did you have any notes on like the post match angle? Like, to be honest, it was only at the end of the night where I was like, so why would Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne here and not like, surely they should be paying off the Luchasaurus stuff that took place later in the show? Surely that was the moment to wheel them out, to at least make some sense out of that. We'll get there. But yeah, they were clearly there to provide, Beth, and then Beth comes out and then, gets power driven, and we have to do serious commentator voices to sell the whole affair.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's, what they're trying then now to bring a bit more like further aggression into the second match and things like that. And what's Edge going to do now? Is he going to bring out his bat with his spikes in it, kind of thing? Is that where is that what we're doing next now? We're going to have to go a bit hardcore in the match next time as he gets payback for his wife. But yeah, it was just the same. When you see like Kip Sabian there, you're like, what are these lads doing here? Like, why are they here now in this match? And I don't know, even just some of the stuff with like the handcuffs and stuff just looked, the delivery of it was just a bit shit, kind of thing. The way, well, of course it was, but it just looked a bit naff as well. And like, yeah, I was just left field. That was my overriding feeling was, okay, so there's more of this that we've got to watch, and do I trust them to get it right next time? Like, absolutely not.
Well, next up, we had the return of Eddie Kingston to AEW versus Big Bill, and again, like, it just wasn't a great start to the show, this, because, as I've been saying, I was very, very excited to see Eddie Kingston back, and, I'll let you say your own lines, mate, but yeah, I think you might share in some of the disappointment I had in this one. Eddie just didn't look at the races to me, right down to the finish, which the commentary just outright pointed out that he didn't connect, and then was like, "Oh, I guess maybe he did connect. Let's just call it that." And like, my big take on this was Big Bill held this match together, because I thought Big Bill was the positive here. Big Bill looked great in both in the literal and figurative sense, and Eddie Kingston looked like a man who, maybe needed some reps. We could toss the post match with Hook here as well, but. Yeah, after all the build up, I say, over the 2.5 weeks of Collision, is Eddie Kingston, and he's back. And yeah, was a letdown for me, mate. What was your take?
Well, we talked last week about how the build up to the match was a letdown, and the build up was worthy of the match. I think.
Yeah, honestly,
to be honest, because like it just shit the bed. I love Big Bill as well. I'm like massively positive towards him, and like just like he did hold things together, but it was just Eddie Kingston, he just looked absolutely fucked from about 2 minutes in, kind of thing. Like he
Yeah.
just like the like you say, the ring reps, the cardio and things just weren't there. So then when he was trying to do stuff, it just looked a bit sloppy and a bit mistimed, and just his movement in the ring and things like that just looked looked way off. So you're taking that step back, and it's like you're bringing him in an angle that doesn't seem to be like popping much of a reaction with anybody like anyway. You're then like putting him in this like scenario where he's coming back in first match on a pay-per-view. You're expecting him to perform and deliver. You like we talked last week, you probably put him in this scenario because you probably don't feel he's right to throw into like a main event like feud at this point so quickly coming back, and you're like, well, you don't have to do it, do you? Kind of thing. Put him on TV, sure. Bleed him into TV. Like, did he have to be on this show? Kind of thing. Like, give him some, bleed him in with some tag matches or some easy squash matches or something like that. Like working your way through, and then just stuff in this as well, where I think like it's just galling that like Big Bill loses again. Kind of thing. He just takes the L so many times, and then like he's haven't like. Eddie Kingston haven't hit that sort of exploder on him, and you're like why? Why does he have to take that? He's massive. Say no. Say I'm not taking it. It's just nothing just seems to fit. I think he needs to get a bit more selfish. We talk about wrestlers like knowing their value and knowing their worth, and it's like you're massive. He gets great reactions with the crowd generally. He's in fucking outstanding shape. He's something entirely different on the card. Like he can talk. Absolutely. Like he just need like he just I don't know for how many years I'm going to talk about him has just been missed opportunity, and he's going to be
underutilized.
He's going to be worse than Lance Archer before he knows it. Like the way he's going, is just a guy that you can just plug in and play in a tag match here and there, or build up as a threat who then gets pinned by somebody who's 5'5" and 10 stone wet through or something,
which was the Lance Archer role, to be fair, which is again is not what you want him to be. You don't want that to be his future, do you? You want him to be he stands out massively. Like he's so underutilized on the roster. And I don't know if you're saying it, but almost like maybe they should have done a Bischoff and Hogan when Sting turned up without a tan at a Starrcade '97 and gone, you know what, lads, maybe we need to rethink this one. And I don't see that flippantly, because we absolutely, all of us on this show, even Matty, Eddie Kingston's beloved in grapple circles. Yeah. Like he's given us enough that we're never going to fully throw to have a go at him, are we? Like I just think if this was the situation, and if, as Platt says there, maybe he didn't get much notice here, it just makes me double down on being right. I don't know if you know that I do that a lot, mate, but like I feel like some, like we talked about, some big. But people were trying to say, what did somebody say to me? Oh, they shouldn't have done it like a big, Eddie Kingston comes out and makes the save ovation, because that's not very Eddie Kingston, is it? I bet you he wouldn't fancy that. Tell him to fuck off. Tell him, no, you're coming back, mate. This is what we're doing, because that would have been actually perfect, because he could have come back, got a big pop, like saving somebody from the Death Riders, or having that moment. If you want a moment, here's an AEW moment you can do, and you can do it in a way that I think is authentic to the Eddie Kingston character. And then you've got him back, and then he can get himself ready for his first match, because he wasn't ready for his first match here. Like they could have introduced him back to TV, maybe on this pay-per-view, could have saved Darby Allin from something, and then we could have worked towards the match and given him a month or two to get back in ring shape or whatever before you put him in this big spot. If you are going to man manage him, which it felt like this match was, as you've pointed out going into it, man manage him right, and they didn't here, and it's a crying shame. And don't get me started on fucking Hook. What's Hook doing out there, mate? What was that? What's that song? What are we doing? Eddie's cut a promo with Hook. There's a little Twitter video that's out there. I'm surprised he didn't post that on Threads as well, trying to justify why him and Hook have been knocking around with each other. But like that just moves him down the card too to me. That's later on in the show, Mark Briscoe beating MJF, and then he's still knocking around with Kyle O'Reilly. It's like, get him away from the geeks. Like, make Eddie Kingston. Again, another bad sign for me. It was everything I didn't want this. And yeah, I'm not happy to say it either. Don't take any glee in having a go at him.
Yeah, and the thing is like you say, like we're all big Eddie Kingston fans. Like on this show, we're never going to slag Eddie Kingston for being Eddie Kingston and what he brings to the table. Just let him be the best version of himself. don't put him in these scenarios. And it's like we'll always say, you control the booking. You can decide what happens, kind of thing. It's not like he absolutely has to be here on this show in this particular match at this particular time. Things just book it right, and like Like, no, and it's almost like you get this feeling like sometimes it's like sometimes Tony Khan like forgets who and what Eddie Kingston is, kind of thing, in the scenarios that he gets put in, and like it doesn't have to be like a match. Like you say, it can be a save. It can just be like a run in or something like that. He's gonna get the big pop. He's gonna like you know the charisma's going to come through the screen. He's going to be able to give that look down the camera or something like that, and you're just going to be sat at home going like, "Yeah, Eddie Kingston's cool as fuck." Don't put Eddie Kingston in a scenario where you're like, "Oh, is Eddie past it a bit?" like kind of thing here, or has he still got it? Because then you're just like milking all the value out of him that you have as a character in your promotion, you know, to work with, and and don't have Big Bill running away from Hook either.
Absolutely not. Like, and again, that's it. Like, wrestlers don't always know what's best for themselves, and sometimes there's times where you've got to be the boss, haven't you? And like I say, there's times where you don't. There's times where you got to do it with like a nice soft hand on the shoulder. Good managers know when to do which, and I think they got the balance on here with Eddie. But hey, he's back. I'm glad he's back, and let's hope he can pull something out of whatever this Hook thing is, and we can move forward. But we'll see. But yeah, moving on from that, we obviously had up next MJF in the second match of his big weekend against Mark Briscoe. Did you see the Mystico match? It's on certain sites. It is on Triller. It is available. Some rotten commentary with it, mate. I'd half recommend watching it in mute or watch it with the Spanish commentary after all the talk of the English commentary. I don't even know who's on it, to be honest. I only watched the match yesterday, and I just fast forwarded to the match, so I didn't get the introductions. And someone in the chat can let me know who that is, but whoever it is should never work in commentary again. If you can put that aside, though, the actual work, fantastic. I thought MJF was brilliant and really good. Just a bit of blood in there as well with Mystico, bit of violence, bit of crowd work. It was just really, really good, and that good work carried on this weekend. If you haven't seen it, mate, it's one I'd recommend.
Yeah, I'll go back and give that a look then. If you're giving it the thumbs up to revisit.
I didn't want to say I thought it was Vader Scott. Of course, it was Vader Scott. She fucking sucks. How has she not got better? Christ.
But but yeah, no, I'll go and go and have a look at that. But again, this was a match where I think, you know, in the run up to it, the idea of like, you know, MJF, I think we've probably agreed that like there's turned a bit of a corner there really from him being somebody that we're a bit like tired and not wanting to see on our TV, and there's obviously been that weird scenario with the Earth Syndicate kind of running through it, but I think he has been a bit of a better presence on TV over the last few months since his return, like running into this, and then I just sort of think some of the verbals along the way with him and Mark Briscoe have, you know, come across as you know positive, and you're getting to have that bit more of a feature of Mark Briscoe put in there with somebody who's pegged at a main event position within AEW as well, really. So in terms of the setup for this one, it was one that I was reasonably positive and looking forward to going into it.
Yeah, and I thought, obviously, we'll get into the match itself. Real shock for me seeing Mark Briscoe go over. A shock I'll welcome, whether it means MJF is not going to be on the TV for his honeymoon, I think is probably likely, but like I enjoyed that. But I just thought very clearly they made the wise decision here, I think, having this as far away from Darby Mox as they could, because they were clearly going to be similar in like the violence stakes here, but knowing Darby was going to innovate, I thought these two innovated there. I thought they did a really good job of introducing the tax into the match. Obviously, I kind of turned it on its head with MJF bumping Mark Briscoe on them first before MJF kind of started to take in like the wild bumps in there, like the Alabama Slam bump he gave to Mark Briscoe is the one that sticks out there as well. But they did a lot of the stuff, shoving tacks in the mouth and the stuff you'd expect in a match like that. But it all felt earned. It all felt like it was escalated. It all felt like every bit of violence that Mark Briscoe gave to MJF was very much earned by MJF's actions right before, and it just felt like there was logic all the way through it, and like it was smart the way they set up the spots, in and around the ring as well. I just thought it was really well worked. It was, to this point, some of the loudest I felt the crowd had been. This was a match for me that the crowd didn't hate, and yeah, a lot of that was probably the work in there as well. How beloved Mark Briscoe is, and how much people enjoy giving MJF shit when he gives them permission to and isn't looking for cheers. Just thumbs up massively across the board for me. But what did you make of this as far as the bell's about?
Yeah, very much thinking, along the same lines as you there, really. I thought it was just is just pieced together really nicely, and that you've got naturally the brutality and wildness that you get with like a Mark Briscoe match working in there, but then there was that sort of like element of just the little bit of, almost like natural story that they're putting in there with MJF trying to avoid the tax and things before, eventually going into them. That so you've got that, you're building that crowd into anticipation of waiting to see like MJF get put in that scenario, and obviously Briscoe just fighting through it as he's going to fight through it kind of thing, because this is very much sort of his wheelhouse, when it comes to that side of things. But like you say, there was just some good little spots along the way. Like I loved how when Briscoe was sort of the first to go into the tax, and then when MJF was just driving his head into the tax on the floor, that was great like initial visual for that. Like that it was immediately coming back into there. Like you said, the old Alabama slam into them. That was immense. Sarah had come in back from the derby with a few beers in her at this point, so she was on the sofa, sort of like half watching through bleary eyes, and then got a big gross pop out of her for the just the thumbtacks in the mouth spot, which feels like such a it's just a regular thing now. It's sort of thing. So it was quite interesting just to see somebody reacting to that for the first time as well. And I was thinking like, it's okay, just interesting just to see how that works. But even just like some of the heel like match stuff with MJF putting the tables away under the ring, like I love that. That got such like a heel pop out of me just for doing that. Just like basic shit, working it the other way as gonna do. But naturally, you still brought them tables in like that. Sort of the Sabu S tribute from Briscoe there with the springboard somersault tope off the chair, putting MJF through the table. Just a great spot. It looked fucking great. Followed up with obviously the the old Cactus Jack, then the Bang Bang elbow like off the apron as well. Following that up, just again that looked that looked cool as like a follow up there. And that's when you really just got the crowd, didn't you, throughout that point of the match? Like they were really up and behind Mark Briscoe, and like you say, you're just expecting him to lose though in the end, aren't you? So when he got the fucking hit the J Driller and got the 1, 2, 3, like that was a proper like off the sofa moment there, because you're like,
it's funny.
They've given him like another big moment there, because again, we always talk about how he's somebody who's going to come out, he's going to excite with his matches, he's going to get the crowd up. He can afford to lose a million times because he'll win everybody back with his natural charisma and his promo and his working style and things like that. But there's value in him as an act who can get wins and can get people as well. There's a value on him like a touch further up the card. And again, it looks like they've recognised that as well with some of the on-screen results they've given him, over the last few months as well, and his role in some big things as well. So again, just great to see him get the win here, and hopefully move on to some bigger and better stuff as well.
And the SK was Sarah awake for the Mox match, and maybe you can give us a play-by-play on that. Did she have a take on MJF's outfit? I feel like some of the blood spatter that MJF got was getting some comments in my group chats.
Oh, I mean, yeah. We're all thinking the same thing at that point. Like definitely. I think it might have been Andy Ogden first in the chat with that one. Obviously, a couple of minutes ahead of us as always with his super satellite in his garden there. But yeah, just again, when you see both lads in the white at the start, you're just like, great, we know what we're getting here.
Absolutely, and that's what you want, and that's what they delivered. I thought it was great. Again, I wasn't as high on the build as you just the last couple of weeks. I just felt like it was something that peaked a few weeks ago, and it kind of felt like they just went. It was a bit of maybe it was more Dynamite this week. Felt a bit by the numbers. It was just as a video package and MJF shouting at Tony. It was like it does feel like this match should have happened like a few weeks ago, but again, MJF doing the job here and it not being a foregone conclusion that Mark's going to lose this big spot pulls it back for me, and I'll take it. I just, like you said, I'd like them to move on with Mark Briscoe and just use some of that. Maybe they have got plans. Maybe they're thinking he could be a Hangman opponent. Maybe they want to give him that credibility for something like that going forward. Just something. Positive sign, but we'll see where it comes from there. But thought that was really strong. Definitely one of the matches of the night. And yeah, that takes us into, I think, the match that is the poster child and again, don't know your take on this, like for this crowd of the night, Hurt Syndicate versus, apparently they're called the Demand now, and that's what the commentary said, and apparently it's been copywritten this or trademarked this weekend. The Ricochet, Bishop Corn, and Toa Leona. I don't know if you saw the Toa Leona and Bobby Lashley match from Dynamite, but very much enjoyed that. Thought they had surprising chemistry on Dynamite this week. Very much enjoyed it. And I felt like it carried on through this match. I think MVP was a few steps. If Eddie Kingston was a few steps behind, MVP was a few yards behind at moments in this match, and very clearly was only there for one thing, and that was to take the pin. I think most people doing predictions predicted that, but I really thought the work in the match was fantastic. I thought it was a really good back and forth match that kind of like, again, it's heels versus heels, but they made the logic of the story make sense. Like everybody had the role in the match and it all made sense. Unfortunately, it took place in front of just complete silence. And like, I don't know what to blame for it. I was saying, like, for me, is it the fact that it's heels versus heels? Were they relying on the fact that, well, it's the Hurt Syndicate? They'll get cheered anyway. They always get cheered. It'll be fine. And it not working out on the night? Was it people not invested in the story? Was it just this crowd was shit? Because, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, mate, but I've really thought the work in this match deserves so much more than the crowd reaction it got. And the two things obviously are never disconnected, but I think it's more to do maybe with the build, or maybe it is this crowd. I don't know if you've got a take on it.
Yeah, I think you're higher on this one than me. Like I like.
Fair enough.
I just, again, I don't know if it was the crowd or something. It just felt, maybe it was a letdown because of the match that had just come before and there's sort of like the different like style of work and things like that. But
yeah, that's all going to happen, isn't it?
It just didn't. I don't know. It just didn't connect with me. I just didn't feel like I felt like I was watching a Collision main event or something like that, as opposed to something that was out there on pay-per-view. So there wasn't as much there that I was sort of buying into. I thought the main thing that stood out for me in this match was just Shelton Benjamin. I think that's just my big note on that. Was I just thought he was just he was the MVP of the match by a country mile for me. I thought everything that he looked like he was really on it. He looked like he was really up for it and motivated, and just the way he was hitting things, just looked class. I think he was holding the match together at various points along the way. But I just felt like, and as I'm like looking down at my notes here, I haven't even written that much down for it here. It doesn't feel like there was load. It doesn't feel like there was like big like high spots in the match or something like that particularly kind of stood out and things were memorable. I think the Ricochet dive over the corner was probably like the big one that sort of like looked class.
And that was him trying to wake that crowd up, wasn't it? Very
angle
clearly.
on the replay, it was something like trying to get them going. But before that, I don't think there was much. Maybe there was like the step up knee from Shelton off a chair kind of thing that looked cool the way that was it. But I don't think there was enough there really for me to get particularly excited about, to be honest.
Yeah, for me, I just thought it felt well placed, even if, again, it didn't help with the crowd. It felt well structured. It felt like, and again, you could see it coming apart at the seams at times when Ricochet was doing dives just to kind of get something out of the crowd. You can tell he's desperate when he's doing that, even as the heel in the match as well. But for me, I just thought it was hard hitting, it was physical. They told like a good story of MVP's role in the match as well, and obviously he was always going to be the Achilles heel of the Hurt Syndicate, which obviously also took place with Bobby and Shelton like nowhere to be seen, and that was not lost on me that they were. It seems like when Hurt Syndicate like do a job now, they can't even be on camera. They need to be like again with Forbidden Door. They need to be already in the back in the showers. In this one, they just left MVP to himself to take the pin, and like I honestly think that's an old worker thing, that where it's like you won't even see us when that happens. So like we're not like tarred with that brush. Obviously they sold it a little bit afterwards as well, but like I said, I wouldn't go crazy, but I just thought it was a fun match that deserved more than it got. I enjoyed all of the individual interactions. Like I say, got a little bit more Toa Leona and Lashley for me in there as well. And like you say, Shelton Benjamin's someone who he's been one of my boo boys through his career, and it turns out the fellow who was in the world's greatest tag team is actually a really good tag team wrestler. Who knew? I'd much rather see him in this role than do 10 years on Raw as a singles with nobody giving a fuck. This is much better for him as well. So yeah, I mean, there's been some talk about whether like his contracts might coming up. Like it would be a horrible thing if this is the job they do without any of the active members taking a job, and then they fuck off in a couple of months. I hope that reporting isn't correct, and I do want to see more of them here. And like I say, seeing Lashley as a singles on Dynamite, maybe we want to see more of that going forward. But I think it's been a good stretch for Gates of Agony as well. Again, I thought they look good in this match too, and they're an act too. Like, it's almost a given that they're not over. It's almost a given that, oh, there's that ROH tag team on the show who've never been given a push and they're just having a match. At least this is giving them something that, like, oh, people are starting to remember the names now. People can now slowly, people are starting to tell them apart as a team and stuff like that. So that real estate is working, and I really think there's something there with them as well. So yeah, maybe they'll do a straight tag. Maybe they'll put them over in the straight tag, and then we'll see if we get much more hits and to get it in AEW. But I do hope we do, just in the right circumstances.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on the Gates of Agony. Maybe not so much like coming across here, but I think some of the TV matches that they've had, just that like real aggressive, wild, hard-hitting style that they've got going on there. Like, we'll always mock AEW for just putting people together in stables and just making stables and things, but they do seem like, with the way that they've almost changed their character a bit, they do seem to sort of like fit with Ricochet a bit, and it feels like he's getting a bit more out of having them around, and they're getting a bit more out of being associated with Ricochet and the sort of the subsequent TV time that they're getting back on the back of it there as well. So there's definitely something there that you can sort of move them into a territory where it feels like they're kind of just getting that kind of like organic growth on TV, and a bit more sort of crowd recognition. They can be somebody who can be credibly in there as like a world tag team title contender, and having matches at that level as that goes through. But in terms of the Hurt Syndicate and the contracts, I mean, like, I don't know, it's a bit of a weird one, because they're good, like on TV, and they're popular. But then you like look at sort of some of the other stuff around the fringes that you're talking about there, and they almost feel a bit like a Miro and an Andrade that you actually want to see on your telly kind of thing, but still maybe having that same behavior and attitude in the back. And I know I talked about like Big Bill maybe knowing his worth and his value a bit more, or should know his value a bit more in the back, but sometimes there's extremities there. Sometimes people take with it, and you think like
Andrade.
You're supposed to be doing that to actual value kind of thing, as opposed to actual like going beyond it being valuable and it actually becoming like a negative on you and the product as a whole there. So I think they just need to tiptoe carefully around that one, because there's still massive value in having them in AEW and on AEW TV.
Of course. If you're running the company, you've got to, I guess I will always cheerlead for wrestlers taking themselves seriously, but if you're running the company, you've got to see how see-through it is that MVP is the one taking the falls here, and go, no, lads, you're not getting away with that. You're doing a straight-up tag with them, and you're putting them over before you fuck off. Let's hope that's coming. Let's hope they're not leaving, and we get the Lashley Swerve singles match we're all hoping for as well. But there we go. That was that. Like I say, we got our finish, and we moved on to another match that again struggled with the crowd massively. So, and again, I wonder if this one was a investment going into it. Mercedes Moné versus Rio, and yeah, you've like me, mate, you've done a bit of a turnaround on Mercedes this year in AEW, and I've very much enjoyed it. And that was my take going into the match. It was very much I don't know what the job they've done with Rio here. I don't know the job she's done herself as far as her appearances on TV and the build to this pay-per-view. But Mercedes has mostly delivered across the year, but this was one for me that, under-delivered, even if your expectations were low. And I think a lot of that was the crowd. I think the crowd didn't buy Rio as a contender, didn't buy this as a match to be invested in. And yeah, Mercedes' funny entrance aside, with the weird, scary models that she must have pulled off the set of Black Mirror, there wasn't much to remember about this match, really. It was the most nonplussed I've felt about a Mercedes match this year, and that's a real shame from my point of view.
Oh, that's interesting. I've got a different opinion on this one, in that, like,
good.
To me, this felt like a match that, the crowd were disengaged, and although the lack of crowd engagement took me out of some matches earlier on in the card, it didn't take me out of this in the same way. I think the work was good enough in this match that it kept me. I was almost like laser focused on the work that was going on in this match, as opposed to some of the stuff earlier where the crowd's reaction wasn't there and the work wasn't so good. I thought the work was really good in this one, and like I know JP will have been popping off his couch as soon as he heard Rio's music there playing at the start. Big fan of that theme that he is. But I don't
think he sat back down again after Shelton did that double German suplex, but I'm sure he was going.
I think I think the start of this match. I think with the work from Rio, I just loved it. I loved that fast start where you had Mercedes straight into character, just giving the kind of like the dismissive sort of shove to the face, and then Rio just immediately going in for them 3 quick covers, just to, like immediately, just like really setting that tone for sort of like the pace of the match starting there, and then she put that nice hammer lock on her in the ropes, using the ropes there for like leverage, sort of immediately there, and then she hit the 619, and she hit the double stomp, and then she hit the crucifix bomb, and it just felt like bang, bang, bang. It just felt like a 100-mile-an-hour start, and it felt like she had. Although I never thought for a second that she was going to win the match and win the belt, kind of thing. They created a feeling for me that of like, oh, she's got Mercedes in trouble here, kind of thing. It's almost, if she doesn't win it tonight, she feels like a big enough contender as somebody that they can plug back in with her in the future, because like she's getting like the better of her so much coming back here, right through to like the amount of offense that Rio got in this match. It was so much, and you really felt like she absolutely like had a number completely. You know, going through it, working her midsection, working the knee, like, you know, that fucking deep single leg crab that she put in and was like bent at that nasty angle. Oh, I was you know, I was fucking loving that, the way that was, with that sort of like slight like talk in the different direction, and then like, you know, after she'd you know, been working that, then just hitting that dragon suplex that looked perfect, like the way she hit that as well. So just pretty much just, you know, loving Rio's work throughout this. And then as you look down, note just pure desperation stuff from Monet. She hardly anything like from an offensive point of view. True. Like through the match, I thought she looked great, and then at the, you know, building into the finish there with like gouging her eyes behind the ref's back, hitting that lung blower, and then hitting the moneymaker for the 1, 2, 3. Still having enough as the champ to kind of like get out of dodge and get out of there with a title still. But, you know, I was just left at the end of that thinking like, you know, on another day with the right builds, kind of thing. Like Rio's got a number there to take that away with a win. So like, as she'd obviously been an established part of the early days of, you know, AEW with winning the world title and stuff like that. So she's got a lot of cachet with long-term AEW fans there. But as a way of sort of like almost like introducing her back to AEW there, it was like, yeah, you know, absolutely, she's fucking right there at the tippy top, making Monet with all her belts and things like that. Absolutely have to struggle and pull it out, cheat and get the win there. So I really enjoyed this, like start to end, the story that they told along the way. But the chemistry between them, I thought, was class.
Well, you know, you're higher on it than me, but I agree with like the overall take there that like, yeah, if you're gonna put Rio in this spot, if you're gonna, and I think they were trying to dine out maybe a bit too hard on that AEW history that she's got, you know, and maybe not recognizing that again, this felt like not that AEW crowd from 5 years ago, you know, not realizing you probably need to put a bit more work in. The thing I agree on is like, let's not then just throw it away again. Like, you've done this, you've spent this TV time on it, you've given her this pay-per-view match. Let's not have it be another 6 months. I know she's had injuries and stuff, but like, even without the injuries, she's one of those characters in AEW, isn't she? That she turns up for 3 weeks and then you don't see it again, and it's like you forget she even exists until they bring it out to be Challenger of the Month for one of the belts. So like, yeah, like if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna invest that TV time, let's hope we do see more of her on TV, and they do. Because again, wasn't a banner night for the women's division from my point of view, but she is someone that you could absolutely do that in with. But moving on from there into our next match, we have Kazuchika Okada versus Konosuke Takeshita versus Mascara Dorada. A match I think I'd describe as Mascara Dorada's to lose, but also Mascara Dorada's match. It felt like through this one. I think there was a point halfway through this match where I was definitely flagging a bit, and Okada was. Somebody described it on the Discord. He looked like when we all came back from COVID and we were all going into the office one day a week, and you know, there's only a certain amount of energy I think you were willing to put in at that point. That's what Okada looked like in the first half of the match, and I was like, yeah, I feel seen and heard here. There might be a reason I'm currently on a career break from my job, but like that was forgotten very quickly, I think, by the work of mostly Takeshita and Dorada. But you know, Okada was there too, and he was very much involved too, and Mascara Dorada came across as much as the focus here was on Okada and Takeshita, and maybe we'll get a big singles match with them down the line in AEW, or people have been talking about potentially actually it happening in New Japan, which is something we've been hopeful for going forward. I think the biggest thing people came talking about at this match was Mascara Dorada, who was just chewing scenery here, just doing every fucking spot he knows perfectly, and them all getting over much more perfectly than the match he had on Dynamite last week. And loads of memorable spots on this one. Not even just the moves he did, the moves he took, that Death Valley Driver, like full vertical suplex brainbuster thing he took from Takeshita on the ramp, like all the big moments in this match with Mascara Dorada. And yeah, while he was there in the end to take the fall, he was the thing where we were all talking about coming out of it, and massively over-delivered this match for me based on my investment going in, and this was one where it felt like the crowd picked up a bit for me, Gareth.
Big time. And, I think it's one there where, like, going in, you see the match graphic at the start, and I was thinking, I wish this was just a card versus Takeshita. Like, that was purely like my my
Yeah.
viewpoint going into it. It was. I was like, it's sort of taken away from it, but it's been a three-way here. But given that the Okada Takeshita sort of storyline, I suppose, has been, slow burn, and it's clear that there's a long-term sort of goal and objective with those two pairing off here. It was almost like the perfect sort of like pit stop along the way, really, just to get that moving in the right direction. Because I think that the story that they told and the setup out here around Dorada, it just worked to perfection. Because I think there was that feeling like initially of Okada and Takeshita just been very much focused on just wanting to be at each other, like literally from the very start of the match. First thing to do is try and get rid of Dorada out of the match, throw to the outside so they can focus on each other. But then, like, Dorada just, he keeps coming back. He keeps getting in between them. It's almost like before they could, like, touch at any point or, have that any interaction between Okada and Takeshita, he's always there. He's fucking flying off from the left of the screen and just, like, hitting something from the top, or then he's doing something that he's, like, taking out both lads at the same time and things. So you're almost, like, extending that tease away from that like Okada Takeshita like aspect. And then, like, I love the way that, like, the first time then when you did kind of get rid of him, and then you had Okada Takeshita sort of face off, then you had just like Okada just immediately gouge his eyes kind of thing. So obviously they've been building the thing here of Takeshita's inevitably going to, like, move away from and have that sort of like babyface element, but just that clear kind of indication that, like, Okada's the heeliest of the heels here, sort of thing, in this element of interaction there. But again, I think the way that they sort of like held that off, and just like had Dorada just playing as that guy getting in between, was just like a cracking sort of like storyline element that they had run through. And I mean, you talk about it like the crowd, and it being one that the crowd like actually sort of like getting up for. I hate this spot so much. There's nothing I hate more than a double Hurricane Rana, like where you know, so there's one leg on one side of your head and there's one leg on the other side of somebody else's head, and somehow you're both going to flip. But when they hit that, what a pop that got from the shite crowd. They absolutely went fucking bonkers for that. So I was like, I hate that spot, but no, fair fucks, it fucking worked for the live crowd here, and actually got their excitement up for one level there.
Mine's Tower of Doom. I guess the Fed version of that is the speed of the guardrail, isn't it? Like with both of those, like the commentators have to sell it like they've never seen it before in their entire lives, and the crowd are losing their mind like they've never seen it before in their lives. Like, have you not watched wrestling? I've seen that several times tonight. Like, what are we doing? Especially when it's WWE and it's a fucking spear through the barricade. But no, I know what you mean. It's definitely not one for our Gareth. But yeah, totally agree. The work here was so good.
But then when you there'd been that original ouch one, but then you had that other spot where you had Okada and Takeshita that done like the double boot on Dorada and put him out of the ring
with their arms around each other's shoulders.
That was a fucking great camera shot there, as well as they sort of like it thing, and the two lads sort of slowly looked at each other and start striking.
That was good.
And Bryan Danielson's like oh, this gives me goosebumps kind of thing, and you were just like, yes, like he's selling it well. The camera work was perfect on it. the timing of the look and everything like that was perfect. And I was just like, oh God, I cannot wait for these two to just be going at it and just having a pure, like, you know, proper one-on-one match for the title. Further down the line there, that it was something that it just worked so well. And I also liked the bit as well that they worked into the match where Takeshita effectively had Dorada beat, and he could have pinned him, but he didn't want to pin him because he wants to beat Okada sort of thing as well. So again, it just added that little sort of like,
I like that
seed in there to the future, that it's like I could have won, but no, to you that I want to beat kind of thing. I want to show that I'm better than you. And again, it's just more sort of breadcrumbs along the way, really, for the, you know, inevitable match or series that we get out of these. That, you know, I've got no doubt it's going to be absolutely first class stuff, really. So again, for me, like, it massively delivered as a match on the night for what it was. It massively delivered in terms of making me invest in Dorada. Massively delivered in terms of setting up something like my excitement and enthusiasm for the match that's going to come further down the line with Okada and Takeshita as well. So, great bit of business overall.
Inspired decision to put Dorada in the match, and like we all kind of slowly worked out last week. It's like, yeah, it's probably New Japan politics, isn't it? Yeah, we've obviously got, there's a King of Pro Wrestling coming up where Takeshita's going to have a shot, and then we got a few days later, I think that's a few days before Wrestle Dream, so maybe you get the match there, or like I say, we're all maybe hoping that maybe that Forbidden Door might open and Okada can go back to Japan and they could do it there. Either way, yeah, you know, this clearly was there to, you know, build anticipation in that straight up singles match, even if they can't do it yet. And again, putting Dorada in there was not something any of us predicted a couple of weeks ago, and it ended up being absolutely the right decision as well. So yeah, great stuff all around for that one. And yeah, that takes us into the next match, Darby Allin versus Jon Moxley in our coffin match. Started hot, as these things often do with Darby, jumping Moxley at the start here. Don't even know where to start as far as the detail in this one, mate. It was a lot of great violence, a lot of great creativity. Again, another great performance from Bryan Danielson in this one as well, on commentary, obviously being, you know, part of this story, but also selling, you know, that and selling, you know, is not wanting to get involved. And then when he did get involved, obviously that getting the gigantic pop in there as well. Utilization of the little side characters in this one was really good as well. And it was another one similar to the Mark Briscoe MJF match for me, where again the violence was earned. The violence felt visceral. It felt like every time Moxley got his come up once, it was like you were punching the air, you know, wanting Darby to get at him. And obviously, yeah, Mox would take it even further with Darby in here as well. And the one question mark, I suppose, is the result of this one with Moxley going over. Although I guess they tried to put that right with the Darby Allin angle later in the night, where it's him left standing taking out Moxley. So presumably we're going to something else, some other kind of stipulation match, and God help us whatever it is with these two. But yeah, this was it was exactly what I wanted going in. It was the match I was most invested in as far as the story goes, the most doubt I had about who was going to win, who was going to lose, and the most excitement about what they were going to do, you know, with the coffin stipulation and how they were going to work those spots in and come up with the creative stuff. And my lord, did they. Loads of great high spots in this one, not the least of which I love the Darby dive to the outside with Moxley standing in front of the coffin and then falling over and going into it like that. From that spot onwards, the coffin was just ruined, wasn't it, for the rest of the match? That and even the spare one that they had were both battered. But that's what you wanted out of this one. You wanted them to tear it down, and they absolutely did. This one massively delivered for me, Gareth.
Oh, huge. And it's like, you know, I think the words I'd take out your mouth there was like the earned violence, because, you know, this has been something that, you know, has built towards this, and then there's enough here that's on the evening tonight that does leave the door open for, you know, the next match, and that feel relevant and earned as well, kind of thing, and feel like it's something that should happen, rather than it feel like you're trying to milk something to the absolute death, you know, out of this particular feud. Because again, they're just like dynamite together. These aren't they? Like they're just amazing. You know, with the both maniacs.
Even the cringy "I love you, Darby" stuff, like it makes sense with these two, doesn't it? You can imagine that he's the one wrestler that Moxley actually kind of likes, and it's all they've been consistent with that when they were both when Moxley was a babyface, you know.
That's it. They're both like fucking maniacs, aren't they? Like, what, you know, what's going on in their heads and things, and you know, their levels that they want to go. I'm talking about the real people kind of thing, the real human beings, not the characters kind of thing. You know, so you know that they're loving every minute of this, and you know that they're sat in the back and they're just thinking about all this fucking wild stuff that they can do and how far they can push it, and like, and again,
Darby's like, I'm going to do a suicide Darby. You're going to catch me in a cutter. And Moxley's like, yes, sound perfect. Let's do that. Like,
and you see that like enthusiasm just come through in the way that they fucking hit stuff, and the way that they set spots up, and the violence that's brought in there. And again, you talk about it like being a jump start to the match. Well, yeah, of course, it had to be, didn't it? Kind of thing. You know what they're going to do? Stand around and wait in the ring and lock up, kind of thing, or something like that. You know, it's like
that would happen on the other channel, 100%.
Yeah,
It happened
definitely.
at the coat match, to be fair, at the start. He was messing around with bubbles. I thought he was asked about FTR. Anyway,
that's why it was a fed match as well, that one. But yeah, just coming straight out, you know, hitting that coffin drop off the aisle entrance, you know, always looks good. But then even worse was almost like the drop kick on these steps kind of thing, and then landing on them steps. I was like, oh fucking
Samoa Joe Sting style, wasn't it?
Yeah, like you're just like, oh, that looks rough. But then going immediately to the ear spot and things like that you know, that was obviously payback for
Sarah see that
for what had come before. No, she hasn't seen that. But like, it's not like for that. It's like you get the first thing and it's the attacking it, and then you get the blood, but it's the going back to it and raking at the wound kind of thing, and you know, like really going afterwards. That just feels like
meanness,
taking that violence to that like next pure level there that comes into it as well. And I thought that was ace. And then you know, I think that was one where then obviously that extended to a bit later on, where they came back to the spot, didn't they, where Mox had put the sleeper on and Darby goes to the corner, and then he's got a fork stashed in the turnbuckle, and then so he can kind of come back to it and like repeatedly you know, stabbing him in the head, and you know, landing the coffee drop to the outside. And that's where he got that like emotional Danielson commentary of like, you know, I've been trying to be objective, but fuck that guy kind of thing. And it's just like, that was like really like jarring on commentary, like hearing a commentator say like, fuck that guy. But
wonder if that got cut on Max. Wonder if he got bleeped.
You know, of course he says that. I've got, you know, think, you know, it perfectly fits sort of thing. And again, so even that's earned. That doesn't feel like hokey or something like that about the way that he went into it there. But you talk about inventive spots as well, like, you know, even just things like with like Marina loosening the bottom rope, so getting the coffin in the ring under the rope and stuff. That just was just a bit different kind of thing, and just the way that worked, you know, you could tell that it was something that
it's not just a given, is it? Yeah,
that's, you know, that element there. But as you say, right through to, you know, I'm talking about Danielson on commentary, but then the stuff just like leaving the bag for him there and just saying like, do it, and them saying, I thought you weren't getting involved, and say, I haven't stood up at all kind of thing. Again, it was just a good part. It was an understated part in the match that he didn't need to get involved. It didn't need to be that big run in. It like had enough for that to be there, and then it obviously been the plastic bag that had been used on, you know, Danielson. Again, just worked, you know, worked in perfectly there as well. So it wasn't just you know, violence or unscripted violence, as somebody might say. You know, it was you know, there was logic and there was story and there was threads through the match, and stuff's happening for a reason, and there was even callbacks within the match that just stuff that had gone on before as well. It's like, at the time of my life watching this, it was just set up so brilliantly.
It's just great, isn't it, when you imagine something in your head? And I felt, again, the similarities to MJF and Mark Briscoe are all over it, but it's there too. I imagine that match in my head, and then they delivered it. I imagine this match in my head, and then they delivered it in spades, like you say, with all the creativity there and the violence and the cathartic moments of Brian getting involved and all of that stuff, and all leading to, obviously, the finish with Pac getting involved. At least I think it was Pac, or the new actor that plays Pac. Or I'm not having a go either. He looked massive. He looked gigantic. You know, he just don't know about that haircut, mate. But hey ho, he gets involved, and we all forgot that he knew how to wear a t-shirt. Yeah, he is actually wear one here, and yeah, he's the man who puts the body bag on Darby, and gets the victory for Mox. Again, makes sense from a story point of view, allows us to continue on, allowed them to do the angle later on with Darby. But yeah, it's definitely not what I was expecting. And yeah, Pac didn't look how I was expecting him to look either. It was a bit of a jump scare seeing him on screen here.
Didn't recognise him in clothes. Just,
yeah, I think that's probably part of it. It's clothes and a haircut, that's all it takes. And it's like, hey, who's that? Is that the bloke from Game of Thrones? No, it's Pac. It's Pac.
But again,
in the words of Matty, there's many blokes from Game of Thrones. But anyway.
It's just a again, it's it's a change. It's a change. It's freshening up kind of thing. It was good to see him back on TV, and I think the most important part of this for me was that, like, potentially, the way this match finished could have taken away from the end of the match, could have taken away from the match as a whole, and it didn't take away from the match as a whole. It seemed sort of like infitted the way that it worked. I guess, like I say, I've not been on social media. I guess some people will be moaning about Mox winning. I didn't have a single problem with that because it was clear that there's more to it, so that it wasn't one and done for the way that things have like built between these two, and that was then reaffirmed a bit later on in the show. And I don't want it to be either. I want Darby to get that big win again, like having like lost in this way where he's not expecting that there's going to be, there's supposed to not be interference, and then there is interference from an unexpected source on the night. Like, great. That's double reason for Darby to get his comeuppance further down the line as well. And think of these two with like blank sheet of paper, coming out, okay, well, how do we take this to the next level? And what do you do to me then to ultimately get that win? It's going to be fucking batshit, and I'm here for it every second of the way.
Yeah, I think it's our mate William Cooling. I don't know if he's in the chat, who's keeping a list of Moxley's wins and losses. Maybe we'll have to do that with Punk on the AEW show. Not many losses in the list of matches I've put together so far, but hey ho. When you're a big star, that's what happens. But no, I'm totally. But yeah, I was more, for me, and I think that's maybe what a lot of people don't want to admit. Not Will, obviously. Anybody else though, you're just disappointed because you want Darby to win, like because we're invested in this, and like this is the story that I felt the most invested in. I wanted, in a kayfabe sense, Darby to beat Moxley, and in a non-kayfabe sense, glad he didn't because I get to see more of it. The only thing I reckon Moxley was probably disappointed with was that it wasn't him that got to do the Razor's Edge that Pac got to do to Darby over the top to the coffin. Because of course they're going to put a hat on a hat and Darby's going to, well, you're not just going to interfere, also kill me. Brilliant stuff. And yeah, they're going to go even higher than that in a potential rematch. And sign me up for it. I very much enjoyed it. And yeah, Lord knows with those two's invention what we're going to get. But yeah, we went from there. We did have this is where we had the Mark Briscoe backstage promo where I just sacked Kyle O'Reilly, to be honest, just for the way he was looking at the camera and the faces he was pulling. That was enough. Apparently, Andre Cassidy's coming back, so there we go. And it's going to be in a trios match on Dynamite, so we'll see where that goes again. I just hope we get more serious Mark Briscoe than this wacky Mark Briscoe. And again, Orange Cassidy, he's a star, isn't he? In this company, and maybe they can give him a higher profile singles match than knocking around with these geeks as well. But yeah, moving on from there, I'm dying to hear your takes on this, mate, because this is where I was struggling, and this is where I think Connor said it in our Discord, made the fatal decision. I'll watch the rest in bed, and then what happens when you're in bed? You fall asleep. So I had to rewatch this match again, but I've got to jump to the finish because I think that's the biggest takeaway, and it's the thing that woke me up. I kind of dozed off in sleep, and then I felt like I could hear music, and I kind of rolled over, and I couldn't tell who had the belt, and I was like, hang on, is that Chris Statlander? And then I saw Tony Storm's face, and it woke me up for a few minutes. And again, obviously, I've gone back and I watched the match since. I don't know if there's much you're going to get as far as breakdown of the match itself, but a match that we took as a foregone conclusion. I didn't in a million years see Chris Statlander holding the belt here and coming out this as winner. I've got takes on it. This is new. I didn't talk about it on the YouTube video because I wasn't 100% sure where I landed on it. I think I landed in a negative place. I think it's one thing. I think it's absolutely fine to do a result that nobody's expecting. I think that should be the goal, shouldn't it? That should be how you should run your company, really. And we should have moments like this. I just think in the aftermath of it, with the couple of days to think about it, I should have been thinking, oh, you know what? That makes sense because Chris Statlander has been quite protected. Oh, Chris Statlander has gotten more over than you'd think, considering the role that she's had. And yeah, I guess they've always kind of protected it over time. I don't think any of that's true with Chris Statlander. You can look back to other title win, the TBS title win. Like, did that ever go anywhere? No, it didn't. they've never gone anywhere with her, and I don't know why I would believe they go anywhere with her now, just because it's a different belt. And yeah, I think having thought about it for a couple of days, I'm all right with Tony Storm losing the belt. I did think it would be with Mercedes at All In, and I did think, oh, they must have a big plan for her. I just thought they'd have a bigger plan than this, and yeah, I think my overall reaction to it is I think it's a negative end to the Tony Storm title win, and I just think you absolutely should try with Chris Statlander. What you should try before you put the belt on her is probably my take here on this one. But yeah, genuinely don't know your thoughts on it, mate. What's your take on it, and then we can get into the match itself.
I mean, same as you, massively shocked. Like, I was really, really surprised that Statlander got the win. I think probably, reflecting on it a little bit, I think the thing for me is, and I've said it on this show before, is like Tony Storm doesn't need the belt, the strength of character that it is right now, and what a change of title holder does is it opens up the door for Tony Storm to be involved in something that's not revolving around the world title. So you then can have some other wrestlers involved in a feud or feuds over the world title. That then means that you've got the Monet belt as a pillar on the women's division. You've got the world title as a pillar in the division, and you've got whatever Tony Storm's up to from a strong over character point of view. So it does it broadens out the women's division as a whole. And there is, while you go like, okay, Statlander hasn't been built up mega hot to be the one to take the belt on this particular night. I don't think anyone could say she has, sort of thing.
Sure.
Like, obviously they've had a flitting in and around like Death Rider stuff there around the edges there. You've had your little Willow things going on around the edges there. You've had little Jamie Hayter stuff going on around the edges there. So there's small little things that she's not been totally invested in one direction. She's been invested in a few things in a few different ways. So it does kind of open up some avenues to maybe do something interesting with her and Jamie, do something interesting with her and Willow, and then almost use the title run as you then build things out of the fact that she's actually the champ now, and it maybe gives them matches a bit more meaning. So in theory, as a mechanic, it can be something I think that can work to sort of strengthen the division as a whole. Will they achieve that? Who knows? And that's the big kind of like, red.
I think I know. I think the answer's no.
red flag that they've got coming through it. But the thing that for me, you ask my opinion on the match as a whole. The thing is, Tekla's just fantastic kind of thing, and then you look at that, and I was sort of left thinking, well, if you're going to do that, do it with her kind of thing, because she's had something going with Jamie Hayter, like she's had things going with Statlander as well.
But she's got a bit of momentum, hasn't she? You'd be shocked, but that's the one where you'd be shocked, and then you step back and go, actually, maybe I shouldn't be so shocked. She has been doing great lately. Oh, they did have that big match with with Queen Aminata on Dynamite. Right, this makes sense now.
Because she looked $1 million in this match, like her look kind of thing,
she's
her
great.
gear and everything like that. She looked like a pure star in it, and then just her work in this match, she looked like a absolute star as well. Like I'm so high on her and what she's brought to AEW. Like I'll often talk about people, sort of almost like saying this a little bit about Garcia as well. Last week on the show is sometimes you give people that opportunity and you put them out there and they grab every second of TV time that they've got and they make themselves come across as a bigger star, and without needing that kind of like rock up behind them. And she's someone I think who's just totally done that. They've put her out there, they've put her in good situations, and I feel like she's almost like elevated the situation she's been in every time, but she's also elevated herself and made herself come across as better. So again, I think that's a big win there. I mean, as the match itself, I did enjoy it. I think one of the things I liked about this match was that it wasn't the typical format for this type of match, because normally you'd expect two people are lying around on the floor and two people are in the ring having a match, whereas on this, very rarely you had just two people in the ring. There was always kind of at least three people in there, and there was continuous action going on, and nothing felt clunky to me. Nothing felt like they got lost in it a bit, or anything sort of like mistimed the interactions between them or anything like that. So I think the actual nuts and bolts of the match and the way that they put it together, like really worked for me. And there was some, there was some big spots in there. There was big interactions between some of the parents in there as well. So yeah, like shocking result, good match, and I was just sort of left feeling a bit like, okay, well, let's see what they do with that then.
For all my misgivings, the finish was executed really well, like especially using the whatever it is, the Shikara special thingy that obviously is done by Wheeler Yuta to pay off that story. Like it looked like something you couldn't get out of. It felt like, oh yeah, I guess Tony couldn't get out of that. And like again, like half asleep Benno, and it was no knock on this match. It was just 6 a.m. or whatever the time it was over there at that point. But like, yeah, it was like I was genuinely like, was that a botch? Like that was my first reaction. Like, could Tony just not get his shoulders up because that's how good it looked? But obviously, it was the plan there. But no, you said there about the structure of the match. It reminds me of like wrestling training with GPW. I remember when I first did a tag match with Mike Holmes on the opposite side, and he just took me aside. I was trying to listen to the spots the other two people in the match were doing. He was like, "You don't need to know what they're doing. You just need to know what we're doing, mate. When you tag in, I'm gonna be in, and then when you tag out, it's gonna be them too. So you don't really need to know." I was like, "Oh fuck!" It was like a eureka moment. I was like, "Oh, is that how they put matches together? Oh, right, that's shit." Here it feels like all 4 of them were in the ring together, in the backstage area together, and always cognizant of what each other was doing, kind of instead of pairing off and just coming up with spots with 1 or 2 of them. So yeah, fair play, and I'm willing to see it play out. But I just think the evidence is there that they've never given Chris Statlander what you'd need to give her to make this work. Maybe they'll go against type now. They need to. This women's division is not. We were talking it up a couple of months ago. Maybe it's just this pay-per-view cycle. They didn't really put much effort in, but maybe again that was by design. And again, for the 3 people out there who are old ROH fans like me, yes, we did all love it when Austin Aries beat Samoa Joe out of nowhere as champion, but the follow-up was key there, and it will be key here as well. So whether she will be a B-level champion, like some might say Austin Aries was in ROH, but yeah, moving on from there into we're getting into the lofty heights at the end of the card. Bro Dido, Jet Speed, Young Bucks, Hechizero, and Josh Alexander in a ladder match. To be honest, I surprised myself with how much I was excited for this one. Being a ladder match, how many, they're 10 a penny these days, aren't they? And I think a lot of that for me was just the characters that were in here. It was, the Young Bucks being on a really good run of form, Jet Speed just being this exciting, young, fun team that apparently Brian Danielson's son loves here. And I think it was the bodies that we had in here as well. Your Brody Kings, he's going to give you something different, isn't he, to a match like this? And he did. Bandido, same thing. He's always going to be creative. I think they both did interviews this week where they were like, they basically try and one up each other with insane ideas, and that's why the team has worked so well. You could see that. Hechizero is always going to be a great base in a match like this, and I think Josh Alexander as well gives you a little bit more ground in here. And yeah, I felt like obviously we need to talk with the post match. I know you're going to have strong takes on that, but I thought the work here was really good. I thought it was creative for a 20-35 ladder match. Again, a lot of that was leaning on the size of some of the guys in there, and the Young Bucks are always going to be reliable with coming up with creative stuff in matches like this as well. And yeah, to me, this was a bit of a breath of fresh air for a match type that obviously has seen and had its day and gone back round there again. But yeah, before we get to the post-match, mate, did you have any strong takes on the match? I can't imagine it's your type of match. Maybe it's more a Benno type of match, but yeah, a lot of fun stuff in this one for me.
You know me so well, mate. Yeah, I mean, this was like a 3.5-star match for me. There was a lot of entertaining stuff in there that I liked, but there was just a lot of stuff in there that I really didn't like, and just like took me out of the match quite a lot. I just there's just some spots here that I just really hated. I love.
I bet I love them. Yeah, every one of them I'll go, I love that.
Yeah, I love Brody King, but like that suplex of the 3 men at the start, like kind of thing where it's like the German. It's shit.
It was better when Shelton did it, in fairness.
And it looks shit, kind of thing, and it was executed poorly, and that looked bad. I think there was the Mike Bailey triangle moonsault onto Bandido on the ladder while Brody was holding it. I was just like, that was just so overly contrived and difficult to set up, and the timing was off, and it was just made no sense at all, and things like that. I absolutely couldn't stand that. But the big things, I don't know. Another spot I hated is Kevin Knight doing a splash onto the ladder that's on top of the Bucks, and I'm like, well, it's
a bit stupid.
That's stupid, kind of thing. That's just like that
cool,
hurts. That's what people do. Is it? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. don't do that and win the match. That's cool. But the stuff for me was the stuff near the end where like Speedball had the belts 1 meter from his face when he's like on the second rung of the top ladder, and instead of just going and being the world tag team champions, he decided,
do a cool move instead.
I tell you what, I'm going to do a somersault with like do that somersault knee spot on Hechicero, like shit,
Also
like
cool.
kind of thing. It just makes no sense in the realms of the match. And then literally immediately after that, like Bandido stood exactly next to the belts, like on top of the ladder, but he chose
That
to
one
sort
was
of
gone.
Josh Alexander like onto the other ladder instead, and like you're like, yeah, okay, big spot, but why are we in the match here? Are you in the match to like pop, no, like spam big spots or get them belts there, kind of thing? Like I don't know. There's the old school logic in
Not even old school. People have been saying that since the first TLC. Shawn Michaels used to say it about it, didn't he? He always hated them matches.
Oh, it's just that side of things. But there was some good stuff in there that I liked. I liked the alliance between the Bucks and the two Don Callis lads,
Smart, I like that.
and then the way that then broke down, like with them sort of directing them to the tables and legging it in the ring to go up and get the belts. Now that's logic kind of thing. That's smart, and that's the way that it should play into the match. Like so, that's something that I really liked. I loved the spot where like. Nick's getting pushed off the ladder by Kevin Knight, but he turns it into the sort of springboard somersault dive to the outside. So again, he turns a negative into a positive there. Again, logical in terms of like the way things like work in the match. It's a spot that made sense. Am I going to fall? Oh no, actually I can change this into something and turn it into offense. Like that made sense as well. So there you go, logic with the Young Bucks in two spots there, but. I think the big one as well is like I like the 4-way one as well, where towards the end where the Bucks put the two lads through the table, or Kevin Knight put Hechicero through the table, and then Brody pile drove Bailey through the ladder. That was cool, like bang, 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 and then the one sort of to punctuate
the balance as well.
Like,
I like that though. It was like the bang of the three, and then it was like that little bit of anticipation, waiting to see is he actually going to be able to get across here, and then of course he is because he's fucking massive and he's got great agility. Oh, it's boss. It's funny this guy because I was literally like, only last week having a go at the Ric Flair's lauded matches from the 80s and all the psychology in between, and I'm like, it was okay, but it's not exactly a tombstone to a ladder, is it? Like it's just not as good as that. Very clearly, not doing myself any favors with the more intellectual than me wrestling fans, but I loved it. I loved all those spots. They were great, and that was clearly the peak of the match in there as well. Was that one too? So yeah, I think everything you hated, I loved pretty much.
Well, there you go. Wrestling's for everyone.
Yeah, there you go. We get a little bit of everything in there as well, but yeah, strong spots. Thought everyone looked good. I was surprised Brody though went over because I predicted the Young Bucks. I thought maybe that might play into Cope and Christian maybe wanting to work the Young Bucks. You could imagine that being a thing. Maybe them working with FDR again, which is not necessarily something I want. I think at some point this Brody though experiment is going to end, and clearly it wasn't the plan. Clearly it was politics that ended up with the belts on them. But I do respect that the company's sticking with it, and they've seen they've gotten over, and they're just letting it play out when, other bookers or Tony Khan in the past might have even gone back to his plans that he had laid out, whatever they were, to get the belt into the other programs that are on the show as well. So that's a positive there as well. But yeah, it was a popcorn match, but an enjoyable one.
Another big positive as well with both of them, Bandido and Brody King, is that like it's a focus for them, isn't it? Like, how many times have we complained about, Bandido's here, he's on Dynamite, and he's just randomly in this match, and then he's won the next week, and then he goes away, and then he comes back, and he has another match, and Brody King's obviously gets like involved and gets good runs in tournaments and things like that, has good matches and stuff, but then because he's not getting pushed towards like a world title or something like that, there's almost that no focus with him as well, in that like he'll pick up wins and he'll pick up losses and isn't involved. The pair of them having that bit of focus here, like that they're in a, with the belts, sort of, they can work in and around sort of definitive programs here around those belts, and it just gets to showcase what's good about both of them as well. So then, if something does come out of the end of the tag run for either of them, then they've had a chance just to be seen a bit more and seen on a bit more consistent basis and winning a bit more as well, really. So it can only be a positive for both of them.
This is the most they look like a team as well. Like they've always felt like, to me, maybe that's been my slight pushback as like they're clearly two singles guys waiting to go back to the singles division, and I want to see them both get proper singles pushes. But even in the way they designed the finish there, where like they're watching each other's back, and it was like it felt like no, these are the proper team now. These are the proper tag team champions, and like that felt like in the end what the purpose of the match was. When I thought it was just a way to get the belts off them. So yeah, thumbs up for that. Less thumbs up for the post match, mate. As we get into that. Jungle Boy, Jack Perry. I don't know if you're still an avid BTE watcher. You were back in the day, but obviously they've been teasing this on BTE for a while. Because God help you if you weren't watching it, because you'd just be wondering why the Jungle Boy is suddenly in the ring and wanting to have a fight with the Young Bucks and weirdly Rocky Romero, who just like I don't know why he even got involved. He was just a distraction so they could hit the super kick. Like I don't know what he was even there. Was he at ringside? I guess he was with Josh Alexander and that. But that was really strange. Like the way they put that's one of those rooms they should have left him out of that room. They should have locked the door and said, "Rocky, come on, you got nothing to do with this, mate. Get out the fucking way." Obviously, I guess, was set up for, Jack Perry to reveal. He must have had this planned, obviously, to reveal this video that he is the one who woke up the dinosaur Luchasaurus, but we've seen Luchasaurus on TV for the last few weeks, but okay, like this is clearly a video they showed bits of, didn't they, before he came back? So I guess this was the plan, and obviously the injury to Nick Wayne meant they felt they needed to use Luchasaurus, which does leave a bit of a gaping hole in the story. And like I say, this is the match. I'd at least have Nick Wayne and that on Kip Sabian, like out on the fucking entranceway going, the fuck's going on, lads? What's happening here? Like, at least I would have done that if you had to tell the story, but does it matter? Because the crowd went wild. And I love that song. I love a bit of Baltimore, and there was a genuine bit of emotion there as well, what you don't often see from Jack Perry that I kind of liked. He seemed touched by the reaction to it. Maybe I don't want to put words in his mouth, but maybe he's got an emotional connection to that with his dad and everything. Going back to PWG, used that song. I don't know, but like that was genuinely touching. It was nice to see them together. Just none of it made a fucking lick of sense, and as much as the moment was nice, like. and maybe it's the right thing. Jack Perry wasn't working as a heel. I don't know if this reunion as a team is going to go any better than the reunion of the Acclaim that they're currently doing on television. And yeah, great moments, and the crowd reminded you that we were there because fuck me, did they love this song? Like 2022, I think it was WrestleMania weekend. Benno loved this song, so at least there's that.
Yeah, everyone knows how much I love Jungle Boy. Yeah. Definitely not somebody I've been missing off my TV like at all. So yeah, I had seen like a bit of one of the BTE things with the knife sort of thing. So I had seen that like a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, the video felt nonsensical. Rocky Romero being involved in it felt nonsensical. But when Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus hug in the ring and Tarzan Boy plays, like everything just kind of felt a little bit right in the world there in terms of like if Jack Perry is a contracted member of the AEW roster and he has to be in this promotion and he has to be on television, then this is the best role for him, isn't it? Kind of thing. He's never going to be a pillar. He's never going to be a main eventer. He's certainly never going to be a credible heel. No. What he is a mid-card tag act with a good crowd-engaging theme tune that people can sing along to, and it can come out and have a 10-minute match and be involved in mid-card tag team feuds that will, fill a block of TV and entertain. So it's perfectly fine, sort of thing. Like, if I have to have Jack Perry in this promotion and on this telly, this is absolutely the best use of him, and it is no more than this. It is, just get them in there working some mid card tag matches, 100%.
Like I said, I was somewhat touched in the moment and genuine. I feel almost like not emotional about it, but I don't know, happy to see that like. AEW is old enough now that it has its own history, it has its own nostalgia that you can use. And like Platt makes the joke there, wait for Jerry Lynn to play the role of Marco Stunt, who must be sat at home with his noncy brother, with his feet up on the couch watching this thing, going, could have been me. Like, obviously we're doing the same thing with the Acclaimed, and like Jerry Lynn weirdly now plays the role of Billy Gunn, which is the most bizarre thing. I still don't understand what's going on there. There was a little vignette on the show, wasn't there, with them as well, where he's like, again, playing dad, trying to get them back together. Like everything you said there was true, but it's still true. You also don't have to do these things. You also don't have to like trade on like this, 2020s nostalgia. But again, I guess it's a positive point for the company that it exists and they can lean on their own history rather than other companies' history here. And my question would be, is it going to be worth more than this one pop on this one night or a couple of entrances? Like, what happens after that is the question Matty will say. I often ask, but I think it's true here. What happens after this for Jungle Jack? Tag wrestler, tag babyface takes the heat when the Luchasaurus comes in and clears house. Like, how many more months? Like, how many months in are we going to be sick of that? But I guess it's the best you can do with them if you have to. But I'm with you on that.
So, I mean, you could fire him and get rid of it. You could. But if you want him, this is all you're getting.
Could have done that before Wembley, mate, a couple of years ago, and all this mess could have been avoided. But obviously, listen to the CM Punk in AEW deep cut. That's going to be coming up, or mixtape. It's going to be coming up next week for more on that. But there you go. Got to throw those plugs in. But there we go. That was that, and we move on. All very happy. And I think what I'm mostly bitter about, mate, is that the copyright gods have come after us, and I won't be able to play Baltimore at the end of this show when I would absolutely love to. But there you go. Spotify's fault. Why I'm so bitter. But yeah, we got an advert for Wrestle Dream at that point, obviously, which I think it'll be you and JP covering in October. I'll be watching that on a plane on my way to Tokyo. So yeah, got that. So apparently that's the weekend of the Rev Pro show in is it the Lucha one that they're doing? The one with CMLL coming up as well. So big old wrestling weekend, that one. So yeah, we'll look forward to that.
Paid for it already. Cracking deal that on Triller, getting this pay-per-view and the next one together. Absolutely.
I'll let you know if the VPN lets me on in Japan or not. We'll see how I get on. But yeah, we go from there. That's where we had the Derby and a Mox angle backstage as Derby got some of his heat back there in only the way he could as he dragged Moxley around in a body bag. But again, once you've tried to kill each other in a match, you have to go this far. You have to do this. This is just them summed up. So I'm fine with it.
Well, if you set him on fire now backstage, like in between, then what's the next logical step? They've got to be bringing out some acid or something like that into the next match that we've got further down the line. But it was a weird little sort of setup to that spot. I was kind of just hyper focused on Mox, and I was thinking he's sort of like propped up on some metal thing there or something like that underneath. It was all a bit weird, like the way that they put that together. But yeah, good little just. Little summing just to keep you going further down the line after all the Death Riders had fucked off in the Death Riders mobile.
Well, this is the point in the night where I'm told, again, because I was asleep, obviously WWE was on television at this point and was airing John Cena versus Brock Lesnar and whatever that was. Went head-to-head with our main event here for the AEW World Heavyweight title, Hangman Page versus Kyle Fletcher. And obviously going in, we talked about it on the live last week, talked about it on the previews. I think from a kayfabe point of view, there wasn't much here. I don't think, and from like just a actually believing Kyle Fletcher could possibly win point of view, don't think that was ever going to be here in this match. What this was about for me was almost the non-kayfabe of it. Can Kyle Fletcher live up to, the billing of doing a main event match on an AEW pay-per-view? And to be fair to them, they made that part of the story as much as Taz wasn't fully paying attention to that. And yeah, we'll go straight to it, mate. What you're feeling on how Kyle Fletcher did. Like, I was raving about him on the reaction video. I thought, obviously, there was a concerted effort, it felt like. I'm sure you'll break down the minutiae of it, but at least in the opening of the match, and Brown was putting it over big on commentary that Kyle Fletcher was dominating so much and obviously targeting Hangman and making Hangman sell. Thought that was really smart. I love the back and forth of the match and like the seesaw of it, to the point where it was Hangman pulling out all of his killer offense on Kyle Fletcher, and my God, was it killer. Some of the spots that they had here with what's it called, the one with the dead eye over the shoulders that Kyle Fletcher took, more than one that I would have said no to back in the day. But Jesus Christ, there was he. He's in this big moment. He knows he's got to deliver it, and good Lord, did he. And yeah, I thought he told a great story of Kyle Fletcher being the naily man here and staying in the match far longer than you would imagine, given his station. And at the end of it, I really felt like it was mission accomplished. You had Kyle Fletcher go out there and have a genuinely great main event match. the crowd weren't as with it as I was hoping they'd be. Maybe that is the fact that Kyle Fletcher is, not somebody anybody really expected to win this one. But again, they got past it with the level of work here, and I felt like, everyone's going to be coming out of the show talking Kyle Fletcher. And it was a little bit odd going off the air with Hangman and just no angle, no nothing, just that's it. You got a great wrestling match. There's the end of the pay-per-view. Maybe that was a sign, don't tune over to the other channel because you're not getting a great wrestling match over there. But I guess at the end of the day, the thing we should have been thinking about is what we were thinking about, which was Kyle Fletcher coming out of this one. And did it live up to your bill of mate, and what did you make of the match?
Oh, mate, I fucking loved this. Like, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Like, it felt like obviously you've got modern spots in there, but it felt quite old school, a lot of it. Like, and I just thought the way that Fletcher was presented with that level of dominance early on, where obviously they've done the neck thing on Dynamite and stuff with the brainbuster through the table and stuff. Hangman's come out taped up and things, but then Fletcher just like twofold really. I think the neck attack that he was doing sort of early, like early on, naturally, like attacking that body part, but then the consistent use of his kicks that look like absolute fucking killer weapons, like to just evade things early on as well, where like Hangman's trying to hit some big stuff, big offense kind of thing, and Fletcher's just like avoiding it and then just like kicking him again. He was having such success with those kicks, so it was like twofold, and he kept going back to them kicks all the time when like Hangman had like a bit of a hope spot, a little bit of a flurry or something like that, and Fletcher could always like cut him off with those kicks. I really liked, but I think it was just he's still a young, inexperienced, is put into that main event spot, is like put up there with the world champion, and I just think the way that Kyle Fletcher just like carried himself and the way that he just worked in this match, and certainly like more so maybe that his work in the first half of the match as well. It looked like he was a wrestler who'd been in the main event for years and had been having main event style matches for years, because the heel work early on, everything was just, it looked so methodical. It looked so calm when he was hitting things. It was like impactful the way he was doing things. Nothing felt rushed. It looked like he was just like in the moment, has been the dominant guy. Whereas, someone put in that position, other wrestlers, they might have been panicking. They might have been trying to do too much. They might have been trying to rush too much and get too much shit in and things like that early. But, you mentioned like the Flair stuff before. Like, it almost felt reminiscent of that style of almost, like an old school 80s, early 90s heel world champion kind of thing. Just like slowly, just sort of like taking apart their opponent. And then, so naturally, you've got the babyface that you've got down, and you've got one, he's injured, and you want people to get back into. And like early on, a lot of the stuff that like Hangman was hitting, where he's just countering with a desperation lariat that he might hit, but then like Fletcher's getting back on top of him, and then like again he's just like hitting something like that out of the corner, hitting another lariat or another dig. But Fletcher been able to sort of like turn the tide on him as well. Just structurally, that just gave so much opportunity for Kyle Fletcher to shine, and I just felt like he absolutely just grabbed it with both hands. I was just watching him, just feeling like this. I was thinking, can you imagine him in 2 years if he continues on this trajectory and he stays a heel, and like he could be that like genuine, proper main event heel, that just the working style and things. It's like it'd be absolutely like knocking it out of the park even more. Like,
imagine the top of that card is like Hangman, a healthy Ospreay, throw Swerve in, but like a Takeshita, a Kyle Fletcher. Like, there's just something about Omega stylistically, like they feel like futuristic wrestlers, but now like all of them fit together. So all of those different combinations sound fucking incredible, don't they? Like, to be honest, for me, my takeaway, it's interesting that my takeaway out of the match was, I think when we get to Kyle Fletcher's main event run, it's as a babyface, and I almost think like as a heel, it's almost the way to learn the ropes. It's the way to get more comfortable as a promo. It's the way to get more comfortable in your own skin, even in a match. and then as a babyface, that's when it'll be like mission accomplished and like he'll put it all together. But I could see that too, absolutely, as a heel at the top of the card. I could see him say a babyface Takeshita versus a heel Kyle, or we go back to Ospreay versus Kyle again, you know. But he's leveled up, and he's moved up even closer to Ospreay's level. I could see that too. Both sides, to be fair, are exciting, aren't they? From a work point of view, he's got a long way to go as like a promo and as a character and stuff like that. Like, but how'd you get there without giving someone reps? Like, and that was for me the thing that AEW should be most applauded for. Like in this weird little period where yes, Hangman was lacking a proper credible challenger, to put Kyle Fletcher in this role and just go cut some promos, like get out there and you've got to sell this main event match, put the pressure on, and then you've got to deliver this main event match and see how he does. And like I say, there's still work to be done from a promo point of view, but from a match point of view, he felt like a main event wrestler out there. He really did, and you can't deny like the levels up that he's gone like in this last 18 months or so.
100%. And then the thing is as well is like, again, you just sort of mention those opponents, and then like if you're almost like, you can have that main event heel run before the main event babyface turn, and his babyface turn will probably be even stronger by having the heel run sort of thing, and then whatever they then build in that tips him over the edge. But just as when you're talking there about like a babyface Takeshita against him at the top of the card, like putting him back in there with Ospreay and him getting wins over Ospreay and things to just extend that, like just like hook it to my veins, like it's just it's so good, like and again, just being, and the names that you're talking about there, it's all AEW guys, isn't it? It's all homegrown talent who we talked about them having to, focus on, like, all right, New Japan and DDT and things like that. But as far as American wrestling goes, they're not these cast-offs from WWE who have been put into that top spot. They're people who've still got a lot to prove. They're still people who've got that different fan base behind them and things like that. And that's where that's where AEW is going to succeed, isn't it? On building that thing that's different, both from an character point of view, but also the match quality point of view that they put in there as well with them. But I think I think it's testament to this match that when they made the announcement that 30 minutes had gone by, I genuinely was like, fuck off, no way, kind of thing. Like, it's often a 30-minute match, you get to that point and you can be feeling like, fucking hell, like, come on, take it home, lads. But like, I genuinely felt like I'd been watching it for like 15, like literally half the time. I was blown away that was where we were at with it, and then like where they both were in terms of the way that the match had been structured up to that point, with that like Fletcher control and Hangman having them sort of like brief kind of like moments where is it and stuff. You're like thirsty for more at that point, and then I think when it hit that 30-minute mark, it was where they just started to get into them spots of doing their rivals and things spots. So you'd had like Hangman hitting that V trigger in the ropes and then going for the one-winged angel, and then like Kyle avoided it and Hangman countered with the dead eye, and then
people popped for that though, didn't they? The canny stuff. It was like, that could be coming next.
So they got to that point, but the stuff that they were then hitting at that point, it was almost like they'd leveled things back up again because of what Hangman had been able to hit at that point. So they'd almost brought them back to sort of like a, I always say this, don't I? Like energy bars were at the same level or something like that, or they'd brought they were back at even Stevens. So then, knowing that the 30-minute announcer had gone there and you go into that finish, I was just like, oh, this is set up so great now then for the finish, if this runs for 10 more minutes, 5 more minutes, 20 more minutes, the way that they've put things up to that point, I was just like thirsty for more as well. And if it had gone 20 more, I wouldn't have cared, kind of thing, because of the work and the effort that had been put into it at that point. And then when you've then got immediately after that, then they're bringing the Ospreay stuff in and the Swerve stuff into it and things, it certainly didn't feel as hokey as Cope fucking busting out John Cena's moves out of nowhere and stuff. Again, it felt relevant.
Because it's this company's history, not that fucking one's. You know what I mean? Exactly that.
And it's that idea of, well, Ospreay's beaten Fletcher, and he's busting out the hidden blade there. Hangman knows the impact of like the big pressure and things like that as well. So again, it just makes makes so much more sense. Like I love that. But then I think that the little spell that they got into that where like Hangman went for the buckshot and then Kyle counted it into the small package for the 2, and then there was the O'Connor roll for Page, and then Kyle kicked out, and Hangman immediately went to hit the buckshot, but Kyle counted it into that brainbuster where he got like a really close near fall on that one, and then Fletcher been shocked, thinking that he'd done everything that he could to that point, but then him sort of starting a bit frustrated, but a bit sort of like tying with Hangman. It made sense that Kyle Fletcher, as the 26-year-old, would he'd lose a bit of focus there, kind of thing. He would start to toy with him. He would get a bit cocky. He would sort of questioning himself and things like that. Like his head's in a lot of different places there as well, sort of thing. So that sort of set up to the finish beautifully as well. And what a finish!
But I love the poetry of that it's Fletcher just going that one too far, isn't it? It's that escalation of, I'm gonna do a top rope brainbuster, and that's gonna really finish him. And the wherewithal of Hangman as the champion, obviously, to counter it, that's just it's brilliant, isn't it? It's exactly how it would take place, and on top of that, the fact that it's not just Hangman hitting obviously the Avalanche Deadeye, but it's that extra level of, but I also need to finally hit that buckshot here to put that punctuation on it, to put this kid down who's way better than I thought I was. Again, almost puts him over it in that moment, because a big takeaway for me on this match was and I guess didn't even think about it myself really in reaction to it. Hangman Page, what a thankless job he had here in this match. This is early in his world title run. He's taken on somebody who's much lower down the card, somebody who really, in a non-kayfabe sense, we actually all want to see achieve something here, and is almost kind of a babyface in this moment, Kyle Fletcher, because we want to see him do well. So there's always the danger that the crowd go with him rather than you, and you've got to find a way to put him over while still feeling like world champion at the end of the night. And he took it with both hands, and he just accepted the assignment and delivered it, and did exactly what he should do in the moment. And I don't think not all world champions are built like that. And sometimes, like we saw in the first title reign, Hangman can be a bit too selfless. But I think he was selfless to the right level here, while keeping his own head above water, in putting Kyle over, like you mentioned there with the finish. But also, it's him standing strong at the end, and he looks strong too. They managed to achieve both for me.
And it's something that I think in this recent spell of Hangman, they've really got over that resilient side to him, haven't they? Kind of thing. They've really got over that toughness side. So where for a long time the character was, sort of wavering, and in a lot of places, now you've just got this. No, this guy is a fucking laser focused, hard bastard who, he will not be beat, kind of thing. Is even when he's getting dominated, he can still pull it out of the bag, and he had to absolutely pull it out of the bag. And there's been a couple of matches this year where they've got that over with him, quite strongly as well. I think he was somebody who, as a character, was starting to feel a bit flaky, whereas now as a character, he's just got that innate toughness kind of thing. He feels like this, old school hard cowboy kind of thing who's going out there
to counter the brainbuster. Even that,
he's been through them wars with Swerve and things like that. He's the things that the things that he's seen kind of thing in those matches have layered up kind of thing to make him this man that he is today, and that's your world champion. And and it's going to take some thing and somebody big to beat him, and it should as well, because he should just keep getting main character, main baby face of the promotion, keep getting that push behind him, keep getting them wins no matter who he's working with. If he's elevating them in the process, brilliant. If he's involved in a blood feud at the top of the card, brilliant. But there's legs and legs in this run, and legs in this character, and it's one that just feels can't miss at the moment.
Can we say as well, I know we mentioned at the top of the show, but how fucking great was Danielson getting this over, the closing sequence to it. You mentioned the brainbuster there and how much he is, just literally honest, that's going to be a meme forever now, isn't it? Him on his feet, just talking about how fucking awesome this match is, or whatever it was he said. Just incredible. And you said earlier, Don Callis being the opposite of that also, but they're back and forth. It was brilliant. And yeah, Brian knew the energy needed to be up for this moment in the match, because he's worked and he's had these types of matches. He knows what is needed there, and that was massively needed. What an injection he was into the closing stretches of this match.
Oh yeah, like 100%. It just really added to it. And then when you've got a match like this, and then you've got the commentary actually adding to it, like how often are you saying like, "Oh, the match was great, but the commentary took away," or things. But you had some, just building up all the time. And like you say there about like the dead eye, sort of from the top before the buckshot live, but how brutal did it look like? Fuck me. Like sort of release kind of thing, the way that fucking Fletcher hit the deck, like fucking hell.
Don't know what was
like,
worse, that or the table one, because the table one, he just disappeared, didn't he? Like, it was just like, I know Hangman took the bulk of that, but there was no nice way for Kyle to land either. Like, oh man. Wild. It really was.
But yeah, you had that spot after, you had Hangman whispering something in Fletcher's sort of ear, didn't you? Afterwards, kind of thing as well. After the pin, I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that one, but it almost feels like it's like, yeah, you've cemented yourself as a made man here, kind of in terms of the future of this promotion, and rightly so, because like what a 12, 18 months Kyle Fletcher has had. It's his rise, and like it just that, let's say, talking about people before, grabbing that opportunity that's put in front of you and going out there, and obviously he's had good opponents along the way, but he just continues to make himself look better and better and better. And I always enjoyed the act on the indie scene of like Aussie Open and things like that, but like it's unreal to me. Like I look at him and I can't believe that this is that guy that I'm watching in the Frog and Bucket and thinking like that, and now he
talks and you go, oh yeah, that is him. Yeah. But still, like, the little runt is in there, isn't it? When he talks, you can see it.
Yeah, but he could be the biggest. Like he could be the biggest star in the promotion. Like he genuinely could. You can see that in him getting towards it, and just pleased to be watching him on the journey, because different stuff like this, just first class. And what it does do is it elevates that TNT title as well. You've got to be fucking good to be in for that belt now, because he's shown.
Yeah, usually I don't like it when the challenger's the champion, but it didn't bother me this time. Maybe that's the reason.
Yeah, because that belt has been. It's been lower down in the pecking order, and good kind of thing. Like we want a mid-card title sort of thing, but I think what it does mean is that then if there is a mid-card challenger who does beat Kyle Fletcher for the belt, then he's going to be a made man as well as a credible mid-card, baby face as well to hold that belt too. So it just feels like win-win-win in so many different ways.
Massively so, and yeah, a very AEW guy to have on top and to go out as well, which again, the juxtaposition of that versus what was going on the other channel is not lost on me either. Like this is our AEW, mate. This is what we want, and these are the types of guys you want in these roles. So I'll take it for the negatives that were on the show and had to be pointed out, but like I said it on my reaction video, overall, still a thumbs up for me because of this match, because of MJF and Mark Briscoe, because of Darby and Moxley, because of again, the work really, even in between some of the stuff that didn't quite land, and even a bad crowd couldn't hurt this one in the main event.
But even as well, like you picked them three, but you got a lot more out of the ladder match than I did, but I got a lot more out of the women's match than you did as well, sort of thing. Totally. So there's things there that delivered to like different people on the card.
The Hair Syndicate match, same thing.
As well. So again, like another definite thumbs up pay-per-view for AEW for me, but I was questioning it 2 matches in or 3 matches in. But they certainly turned me around.
Yeah, it wouldn't make me list of like top 5 AEW pay-per-views. I think it was for me. It was best in Forbidden Door. I was clearly at the low man on Forbidden Door, not having been there. But I think this was something of a step up, even if, like I say, all the things we talked about are still, warning signs in the booking or maybe the layout of these cards. But again, when you get quality like that at the end of it, it's all worth it, isn't it? Even if you have to sit and watch it in 3 or 4 sittings to get through it in the end. But yeah, outside of that, any other thoughts on the show itself or any to take away? Tony Khan didn't really say much in the presser afterwards. Obviously, we've got Dynamite coming up this week. Saying that, it does feel somebody joked about it. I think it was Chris Elliott earlier in the chat. We've got the Acclaim back. We've got Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus back together, and we've got Tony Khan with an important announcement coming up on Dynamite this week. And Orange Cassidy is back too, which they've pretty much outright told you to. So yeah, maybe we are going back in time a little bit. And it guesses on what the announcement will be. I assume Continental Classic, but I've genuinely not read any speculation. That was just what first came to my mind on it.
Oh God! Well, if we're going back in time, maybe it's a bigger re-signing of Chris Jericho.
Maybe it's CCTV footage of them like getting to a fight backstage or getting arrested or something. I'd take that. That'd be good. I'd live with that. But
Dark Order,
yeah,
bring him back.
oh god, yeah, we really are going back in time. Forget that. But there we go. Yeah, we'll have obviously Dynamite coming up Wednesday. And we'll have coverage of that too. But yeah, any other closing thoughts, Gareth? Anything more on AEW? Oh, it could be Blood and Guts. Chris Elliott says there. It could be women's tag belts. Steph says. Obviously, yeah, they've been teasing that with the fantastic booking of the women's division lately. You know, surely, that's got to be the route.
Yeah, no, I mean it's just it's a card. To me it was a card that I think we talked about last week. It sort of felt short on the build. It felt like there was elements of like place, not necessarily placeholder, but it felt, you know, we talked last week about there being matches where there maybe wasn't necessarily like a hot feud behind them, but it was an opportunity to elevate certain people on the card, like across a few different matches there. And then I think as you look through the card as a whole and you look at, you know, the outcome of a few people along the you know, the card that was presented there, I think we definitely got people here who were thrust into an opportunity maybe a bit further ahead and came out of it, you know, looking better, and it gave opportunities for, you know, further positives down the line that they can then be featured and, you know, pushed into certain lanes as well. So yeah, while might not necessarily be the most exciting card on paper or build on paper for some people, I think as a pay-per-view it's served a purpose for continuing AEW in the right trajectory as an overall. If you look at things on a 6 monthly basis sort of thing, I definitely kind of like look at this and feel like where there's a decimation at the top of the card in availability of certain people, there is, you know, people around then who can step into them places, and the stories that they have started to build and can continue to build here as they sort of look to plug them gaps really. So I remain positive on the AEW run as it's going on the current way, and yeah, just looking forward to see how some of this develops.
For sure. Well, hopefully I'll be saying the same thing tomorrow when I record with Matty. And we do. Well, Matty will probably do that exact same speech as you, but it'll be about Wrestle Dream and the Hunter book and going forwards. It's still good. It's still good. Yeah, they've got no plan for Brock Lesnar or John Cena's retirement, but it's still good. It's still good. We'll be getting into that tomorrow. Honestly, I'm looking forward to record with Matty, even if I'm not looking forward to finishing the show. I haven't got past the only good match that's apparently on the show, but once I'm past it, I'm sure I'll be in the home stretch, ready for tomorrow. So yeah, we got that to look forward to. Like I say, pretty much a 2 spotlight week this week. You refused to watch WWE and Matty refused to watch AEW. We did talk about doing a joint show, but I think it makes more sense to give it its own space tomorrow. And who knows? There might be amazing things that happen on Monday Night Raw tonight that me and Matty can talk about tomorrow as well.
Can't believe I was only the night 1 main event and he gets night 2 main event. He always works it in his favour, doesn't he? Unbelievable.
And even if it's the other way around, it's night 1 that's the proper one, because it's the one that's got Roman in the main event or whatever logic he'd usually come up with. But yeah, that's to look forward to. Say, check out the YouTube videos if you haven't already, especially Matty's. If you're you don't fancy a full review, did we? Just 12 minutes, you get his takes hooked straight to your veins there as well. Like I say, it's been dealer's choice. We didn't give it the hard plug at the top of the show, so forgive us. We'll give it now. I thought DP did a cracking job on Saturday afternoon. It was doing the dealer's choice this month. It was honestly, we did film club on the wrestler. I wasn't lying when I said it. I literally sat there for half an hour, almost feeling an emotional wreck coming out of the film. It, definitely something about maybe this point of my life and this age, 17 years on since it came out, that definitely affected me in a different way. And I thought we had a really good conversation about it for JP's dealer's choice on Saturday. Obviously, coming off your dealer's choice on Ric Flair, wrestler of the 80s last week.
Yeah, no, it's been a cracking run. That film club was good, really good to go back and, you know, watch the wrestler. I've only watched it one time before, like when it first come out. So yeah, I had a lot of fun going back and discussing that and like breaking it down and getting involved in that one. Obviously, I loved my own Ric Flair show. The pay per view.
No, I did too. It was good.
The pay per view that Matty picked, I loved because it plugged a gap for me in terms of when I wasn't watching wrestling as well. So that was great. And then, like, awesome, just going back and just revisiting CM Punk and AEW, because, like, what a ride that was, you know, from the initial excitement to the, you know, absolute disappointment sort of towards the back end when it all fell apart. And obviously we revisited it live kind of on Spotlight, you know, week in, week out at the time, and, you know, I had all them takes, and it'd be cracking to go back and watch it like we did with that Cody Rhodes show and just relive it all and just see the different characters, see the different crowds, just see the different feelings that you maybe get out of certain things when you're watching it out of sequence and, you know, out of time, and, you know, your feelings might have changed about certain things. Like, really, really looking forward to it. So I was chuffed when you said that one.
Well, it was literally our conversation last week on the live that made me me mind up on it, and obviously I just randomly stumbled across obviously the All Out promo from Punk with the muffins and all of that, and it pulled some of those emotions back out. And like we were talking about, weren't we, like how, you know, sad we are to see what he is in WWE now. I'll be sadder tomorrow once I review that tag match. Like, it made me want to see, you know, let's see the last dying days of the real Phil Brooks. Was he even there? We'll see. And will it hold up? Will I be mad about the Hangman match? We'll see. And what will I think of the Derby match with all this time removed? I think it's going to be fascinating stuff. Like I say, still whittling it down. The MJF dog collar match has got to be the MJF match that's going to be in there. A few people have said that already, but if anyone's got any suggestions, I'll be finalising that list tomorrow. For next Monday, it'll be a Monday dealer's choice with that you and Matty are away this weekend, so we'll have that coming up as well. And like I say, a spotlight tomorrow with me and Matty talking WWE. I'll be recording with JP later in the week as well, so stay tuned for plans on that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Everything going on, and then it'll be October. I'm off to Tokyo. I'm leaving the keys in your hands, mate. That month, so it's up to you, Gareth, and JP. We'll see if the house gets burned down. I've seen the plans, and we've made a couple already. So there's going to be a couple of pre-records in there, but mostly lots of fresh stuff coming from you guys. I know you'll be excited for too. All going on.
Problem is everyone's used to daily content now, mate.
I know. They'll be sick of me. That's my plan. The more I put up of me this month, hopefully people will miss me the first half of October or the middle of October, kind of how it works out when I'll be gone. But like I say, I'm still pre-recording stuff, so you can't escape me. There'll be little bits of me coming up as well. But
leave the territory for a bit and then come back for the big pop.
That's how it works. I've learned from the best. That's how it goes. But there we go. All that to look forward to. October mixtape, maybe. Again, we couldn't find anything that rhymes with those, so I think that's out, Andy. But good suggestion. But all will be revealed in good time. But yeah, check out the rest of Dealer's Choice. Subscribe to the Patreon, subscribe to the YouTube, watch those quick videos, give us your likes, give us your comments. It is all appreciated as well. But yeah, outside of that, thank you, patrons, for another great month. Thank you to our live patrons for tuning in with us live tonight. And thank you, as always, to our kings and queens of the mountain, Conor Lachlan, Eddie Sarburns, Chris Black, Carl Keck, Sophie Hitchcock, and I guess Simon Mulvaney. He is there in the chat, so I'll be nice. And he said it was a great show. So there we go, Simon. Thank you very much. And obviously, yeah, I'm Marty Ellis as well. Sorry, whose show we'll be coming up next month as well for King of the Mountain. I will be around for that one. So look forward to that, and we will catch you all on the next one. Oh, and Brett Show's coming out too.
It certainly is. So yeah.
What's it about? Who's on it? What show is it? What
Bret
year
Hart.
is it?
Bret the Hitman Hart.
Can't wait. Good night, all.